Honorable President of today's inaugural session, Vice Chancellor Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor S.M. Rahmatullah sir, our prestigious guest, Registrar and Dean, School of Education and Training, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor Siddiqui Mohammad Mahmood sir, Esteemed Resource Person, Professor K. Srinivas sir, Head ICT and Project Manager, NIPA, New Delhi, Respected Dr. Indrani Bhaduri Ma'am, Professor and Head, National Achievement Survey Cell, NCERT, New Delhi. General Convener of the webinar, Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh Ma'am, Principal, MANUU CT, Aurangabad. Webinar Coordinator, Dr. Shaheen Parveen Ma'am. Our very own Dr. Badrul Islam Sir, Assistant Professor, MANUU CT, Aurangabad. Hardworking and cooperative IMC team, Rizwan Ahmed sir, Director of IMC, Umar Azmi sir, Producer, and all the dear participants who have joined us through online mode. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to one and all. I am your host, Sayyida Hajra Nausheen Sayyid Lateef. On behalf of MANUU CT Aurangabad, I welcome you all in the national webinar on E-Revolution and E-Evolution in Education. This is our attempt to collaborate knowledge and research work at national level with the focus to provide a platform to all those who are connected with educational field. It is our culture and tradition that we commence our program with the recitation of Holy Quran. To continue this tradition, I would like to call Ghulam Ghaus, 4th semester student, to take the privilege to recite Quranic verses with translation. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق. خلق الإنسان من علق. اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم. علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم. كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى. إن إلى ربك الرجعى. صدق الله العظيम. तर्जमा। ऐ मोहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम, अपने ईश्वर का नाम लेकर पढ़ो जिसने दुनिया बनाई, जिसने रक्त की एक बूंद से मनुष्य का निर्माण किया। पढ़ें और आपका ईश्वर सबसे उदार है, जिन्होंने कलम के माध्यम से ज्ञान सिखाया और मनुष्य को वह सब सिखाया जो वह नहीं जानता था। लेकिन आदमी विद्रोही हो जाता है जब वह खुद को धनीवान देखता है। इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं कि वह आपके ईश्वर के पास लौट जाएगा। शुक्रिया।
जज़ाकल्लाह। जितनी उम्दा हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी और जितनी खूबसूरत उर्दू जुबान है, उतना ही दिलफरेब हमारा मानू तराना है, जिसे सुनने के बाद हमारी यूनिवर्सिटी और उर्दू जुबान के मुताल्लिक़ हमारे जज्बात, लगाव और मोहब्बत मजीद परवान चढ़ते हैं। अब मैं IMC से इल्तिजा करती हूँ कि वो हम सब के लिए मानू तराना पेश करे। ओवर टू IMC।
सर gari sari ni sa ma gari sa. Sari ga ma gari sari ni sa ma gari sa. Sari ga ma gari sari ni sa ma gari sa. Sari ga ma gari sari ni sa ma gari sa. Sari ga ma gari sari ni sa ma gari sa. Sari ga ma gari sari sa ma gari. ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ज़बान उर्दू का आशिया है, ज़बान उर्दू का आशिया है। ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू। सारे गा मा गरे सारे नि सा मा गरे सा, सारे गा मा गरे सारे नि सा मा गरे सा, सारे गा मा गरे सारे नि सा मा गरे सा, सारे गा मा गरे सारे नि सा मा गरे सा। कलाम सारे है दर्ज रूह में, कलम से उतरा हुआ बदन है। ये इल्म का शहर घर है मेरा, मेरा मदरसा मेरा वतन है। तालीम का मौसम है, तहजीब की फसलें हैं, हम रोशनी करते हैं, सूरज की नस्लें हैं। उर्दू की उड़े खुशबू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू। जो दाना गुजरे थे इस ज़मीन से, जो दाना गुजरे थे इस ज़मीन से, वो इल्म के बीज बो गए हैं। बड़े हुए जब पौधे बढ़ के, हमारे कद ऊंचे हो गए हैं। हम चांद की पेशानी जब छू के निकलते हैं, कायनात में है पाँव और मार्स पे चलते हैं। उर्दू की उड़े खुशबू, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू, 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 ज़बान उर्दू का आशिया है, ये जामियाए ज़बान उर्दू।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आईएमसी टीम। हर प्रोग्राम की जानो रौनक उस जलसे के मोअज़्ज़िज़ मेहमानान होते हैं। अब मैं डॉक्टर शाहीन अल्ताफ शेख मैम, प्रिंसिपल मानू सिटी औरंगाबाद से इल्तिजा करती हूँ कि वो हमारे गेस्ट का तारुफ पेश करें। ओवर टू प्रिंसिपल मैम।
Shukriya Hajra ma'am. Respected chairperson of today's program, our very own Honorable VC Professor Rahmatullah sir, our guest of today, Registrar and Dean of School of Education, Professor Siddiqui Mohammad Mahmood sir, our resource persons of today's webinar, Professor K. Srinivas sir and Professor Indrani Bhaduri ma'am, Dr. Badrul Islam sir, Member Organizing Committee, Coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Shaheen Parveen, all my staff members, and all the distinguished participants, faculty members of other universities and colleges, PhD scholars, MH students, PH students, and paper presenters. A very good morning to all of you, and Assalamu alaikum. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be welcoming you to this national webinar on e-revolution and e-evolution in education. When we first started thinking about organizing a webinar, we deliberated on many topics, but one which persisted in our minds due to its recency and relevance was the rapid and instant transition from classroom learning to online learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With the sudden shift away from the classroom, we all are left wondering whether the adoption of online learning will continue to persist post-pandemic and how such a shift would impact education worldwide. Today's webinar, E-Revolution and E-Evolution in Education, is a step in this direction to find the answers and explore the past, present, and future trends. What does this mean for the future of learning? While some believe that unplanned and rapid move to online learning with no training, insufficient bandwidth, and little preparation will result in a poor user experience that is unconducive to sustained growth, others believe that a new hybrid model of education will emerge with significant benefits. Many educationists are of the view that it has changed the way of teaching. It enables them to reach out to students more efficiently and effectively through chat groups, video meetings, voting, and also document sharing, especially during this pandemic. Students also find it easier to communicate. They believe that traditional offline learning and e-learning can go hand in hand. There are, however, challenges to overcome, and some students without reliable internet access and or technology struggle to participate in digital learning. This gap is seen across countries and between income brackets within countries. There are some issues and trends that we hope to understand through this webinar. Many things have changed with the pandemic, and one of them is our progress from a seminar to a webinar, and also a welcome of words with words instead of bouquets and shawls. And so first and foremost, I extend a warm welcome to all the participants and paper presenters without whom this webinar would be meaningless. I also take this opportunity to welcome both the resource persons of this webinar, Professor K. Srinivas Sir, who is Professor and Head ICT and Project Manager, NIPA, New Delhi, and Dr. Indrani Bhaduri, Professor and Head, National Achievement Survey Cell, NCERT, New Delhi. Both of them gave their consent with just one phone call, which was indeed an honor for us. And now, let me introduce and then welcome our two distinguished personalities, our guest and our chairperson of the inaugural session. First of all, let me introduce our Honorable VC, Professor S.M. Rahmatullah Sir, the chairperson of today's webinar. Sir has many accomplishments to his credit. He is the in-charge Vice Chancellor of MANUU and Dean, School of Arts and Social Sciences. He has also served in many prominent positions like former VC of SK University Anantapur, Dean Satellite Campuses of MANUU, Registrar of MANUU, Finance Officer, Controller of Examinations, ex officio Secretary and member of Executive Council and Academic Council, MANUU, and a member in different UGC expert committees. His areas of interest are administrative theories, human resource management, good governance, for which he is a living example, Indian administration, and office management. He has published many research papers and articles in journals, magazines, and newspapers, and also co-authored books in English, Telugu, and Urdu languages. He has presented a number of papers in national and international seminars, chaired sessions, and conducted seminars and conferences, workshops, and social science congresses. He has successfully supervised MPhil and PhD scholars and undertaken a number of projects. He has delivered a number of invited lectures and chaired sessions in reputed institutions, including the HRD institutions and UGC academic staff colleges. He is also a member of renowned professional bodies like Indian Institute of Public Administration, New Public Administration Society of India, Kakatiya School of Public Administration, Indian Distance Education Association. Sir has also been very supportive and encouraging during this whole process of planning and organization of this webinar. It is indeed a great pleasure and privilege to have you, sir, as the chairperson of this inaugural session in this webinar. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir, and hoping for the same support and encouragement in all our future endeavors. The other distinguished personality as the guest of this inaugural function is Professor Siddiqui Mohammad Mahmood, our very own Registrar in Charge and Dean School of Education and Training. Sir has innumerable achievements to his credit. He started his teaching career in 1990 as a lecturer in Marathwada College of Education and went on to become the reader in 2008. This was only the beginning. When he joined MANUU as the principal of CTE Bhopal in 2008, and then took charge as the principal of CTE Darbhanga in 2011. And later on, he went on to become the HOD of Department of Education, Hyderabad in 2013. He went on to hold many key positions in MANUU, COE, Controller of Examinations, Dean Students Welfare, Director CPDMT, and Dean Research and Consultancy. He has also been a chairman of establishment committees of most of our CTAs, that is Aurangabad, Asansol, Sambal, Bidar, and NU. He has authored a number of books and articles in national and international journal. He has delivered more than 60 plenary lectures and successfully guided 10 PhD students. The most recent of all accomplishments is being awarded the Maulana Azad National Memorial Award by Maulana Azad Chair English Department, Dr. Bamu University, Aurangabad, in February 21. Sir has been the motivating factor in the organization of this webinar. He has extended his full cooperation and expertise in the organization of this webinar. It is indeed a great honor and pleasure, sir, to have you as the guest, and I heartily welcome you to this webinar. All of us at CT Aurangabad are indeed grateful and privileged to be hosting this webinar and hope that we will succeed in achieving the objectives that we had set. It is on this upbeat note that I once again welcome one and all to this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your welcome address and introduction of guest. Now, I am sure that the next address will provide us plenty of opportunity to strengthen and upgrade our knowledge. We are very fortunate that Professor Siddiqui Muhammad Mahmood sir, a noted orator, is our guest. Now, I extend my request to sir to enlighten us through your address. With request and regard, mic is over to Registrar sir. Thank you.
Chancellor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University. The convener of the program, Dr. Shaheen Sheikh Madam. The anchor of this program, Mrs. Hajra Noshin, Dr. Hajra Noshin. All the faculty members of CT Aurangabad, including Dr. Badrul Islam Sahab, Shaheen Madam, then Uzma Madam, and all who are present here, to whom I'm not able to see. And our distinguished resource persons, Professor K. Srinivas sir from NIPA, and Professor Indrani Bahaduri Madam from NCRT. I extend my wholehearted welcome to one and all to this inaugural session of webinar on e-revolution and e-evolution in education. Prior to COVID-19, the situation was one of the incidents that I could read in the journals was that suppose a surgeon and a teacher, after a gap of 50 years, suppose they were just okay. I was just narrating a story that I could read in a journal that after a period of 50 years, Shaheen Madam, am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
You are
Yes,
audible.
sir.
You are audible.
Now, the teacher who enters into the classroom after a gap of 50 years may not find any distinct changes in the classroom. He'll just hold the chalk piece in his hand and he'll start writing key points on the blackboard while teaching. Whereas the surgeon who is entering into his operation theater after a period of 50 years may not be able to understand that it is his operation theater only, because a lot of changes he'll find there. All the equipments, all the apparatus, and the new technology will be welcoming him in his operation theater. But that's the incident that we could share before COVID-19. The use of technology in other profession was made in many-fold in different professions. But it was education who was lagging behind to exploit technology, use of technology in the classroom situation. But now the scenario has totally changed. And in what way it is changed, how we have to understand the new situation, and how we have to cope up with the new situation. In order to answer all these questions, our webinar organized by College of Teacher Education, MANUU College of Teacher Education, Aurangabad, may be a full answer to these questions. What is e-revolution? Evolution. We have distinguished guest and resource persons with us, and they'll be talking at length. Simply, I'll make a brief introduction of these two concepts, e-revolution and e-evolution. I'll begin with the second part first, e-evolution. What e-evolution is? If you remember, in the year 1440, the first printing machine came into being, and that revolutionized the knowledge industry. As far as the field of knowledge and education is concerned, because of invention of the print machine in the year 1440, a milestone was achieved by the humanity as a whole. Slowly and gradually, so many changes have been taking place. But it was in the early 1990s that we started what is called as web-based trainings. And this revolutionized whole of education system at global level. Then we reached to what is called as e-learning 1.0. But then through e-learning, though we could manage what is called as learning management system, LMS. But the problem was there was minimal communication and collaboration between the teachers and the students. So there comes the next stage, and that is online education. Web conferencing, of which we are taking the advantage to conduct this webinar, is the best example of what is called as online education. And now we are all set to exploit e-learning 2.0, which is fully interactive for the teachers as well as the students. Students are not only able to talk to their teachers, but they can talk and discuss among themselves as well. This is the miracle of e-learning 2.0. Now comes what is e-revolution. As far as e-revolution is concerned, if I'm not wrong, the journey started long back when we used to have what is called as lantern slides. You might have heard that song, Agra ka Taj Mahal dekho, Delhi ka Qutub Minar dekho, and all that. And it is through the films, the pictures on the slides. And because of the light effect, we are able to see. And the children also enjoy it. Now, the same technology was utilized in lantern slides long back. Then came what is called as overhead projector. In the beginning, we also used overhead projector, And we were so fascinated to use overhead projector that whatever content we have to write on the board, that content may be displayed on the screen easily through overhead projector. But now even overhead projectors, they are no more. We have what is called as LCD projectors, and then now we have DLP projector, which is as far as LCD projector is concerned, liquid crystal display, and DLP, that is digital light processing. Very so to say handy to take from one place to another place, very easy to manage and use. Now, because of personal computers, internet, and personal devices like cable, then we are having different tablets. Because of this technology has become so easy for the teachers to handle in the classroom. Presenting the lesson plan in digital format, which was a dream earlier, now has become a reality. Now we can easily present our lesson plan formats through the technology. As far as early stages are concerned, activities that children enjoy and they want to engage with, that is like video games. Our dream was to exploit video games for the purpose of education. And now that dream also has come true. Technology can set their own pace for the learners. You know very well that because of constructivism, now our motto is to see that every learner learns as per his own speed, as per his own choices, as per his own interests. So this technology enables him or her to go as per his own pace. Now, researches, they show that if technology is used effectively and genuinely, then the academic achievements of the students are better. We are able to enhance the academic achievement of the learners if we make use of educational technology effectively. Now, the situation is at global level. Previously, when a child used to be admitted in early classes like KG and nursery, the expectation was that home environment should enable him to read and write from 1 to 10 and from A to Z. That was the expectation everywhere at global level. But now, friends, the time has changed. The expectation is the child should be able to use the personal device, because that personal device is going to be utilized in the classroom. And if he is not able to use those personal devices, maybe he may lag behind. Now, as far as higher education is concerned, for a school, it's all right that basic concepts can be taught to the students by using ICT in the classroom. But as far as higher education is concerned, this particular period of COVID-19 and the period of lockdown that is followed by this COVID-19, this period, different experiments have been made, and we have been making different experiments even now. And MOOCs, which were not very popular prior to COVID-19, now they are becoming more and more popular. The learners of higher education, while engaging themselves in many activities, can easily learn different programs and different courses through MOOCs. Now, that's the situation. And for that purpose, what is important is, at school level, we should be able to teach the basics by making effective use of technology. Then we should boost the children to have the thirst for knowledge, for more and more knowledge. And we should make them learn the ways of learning. First thing is, teach them basics. Second thing is, motivate them to learn more and more. And the third thing is teach them the ways how to learn, and they will go on learning. At higher education, maybe formal classrooms, regular classes, face-to-face mode may remain, but with a very strong support of online programs, wherein this technology is going to help us a lot. Now we have to prepare our children, we have to prepare our students to be ready to welcome the technology in education. I think with these words, I should conclude the introduction of the topic e-revolution and e-evolution. Thank you one and all.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर। बहुत ही उम्दा अंदाज में सर ने ई एवोल्यूशन एंड ई रेवोल्यूशन के तस्वुरात की वजाहत करते हुए मौजूदा तालीमी दौर में इसकी अहमियत को वाजे किया। मुख्तलिफ तहकीकात और रिसर्चेस का हवाला देते हुए सर ने टेक्नोलॉजी का इस्तेमाल किस तरह से दर्स तदरीस और तुलबा के लिए मुफीद साबित हो सकता है, इस पर भी रोशनी डाली। इट इज़ ऑलवेज अ गुड एक्सपीरियंस टू लिसन यू सर। योर एड्रेस ऑलवेज enhance our knowledge and your words always work as a motivational factor for us. Once again, thank you so much, sir. Now, I am very glad to take this privilege to invite President of today's program, Vice Chancellor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor S.M. Rahmatullah sir. Webinars are organized with a view to celebrate and share the knowledge. We are very excited, eager, and enthusiastic to listen your valuable views, ideas, and experiences, which will definitely be fruitful and will enhance our knowledge. With kind honor and request, mic is over to VC sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Professor Siddiqui Muhammad Mahmood Sahab, the guest of this function, Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh Sahaba, the convener, Professor Srinivas Sahab, Dr. Indrani Bhaduri, the resource persons of this webinar, and the anchor of this event, Saida Hajira Naushin Sahaba, and other of my colleagues. First of all, let me convey my heartfelt thanks and congratulations to the city Aurangabad, more particularly Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh, for coming with this thought and giving it a shape to conduct a webinar on e-revolution and e-evolution in education. Well, friends, while I was listening to Professor Siddiqui Sahab, the words I heard from Professor Sharma, I was recollecting. Once I happened to attend a seminar in Kakatiya University where Professor Sharma of Computer Science was giving a lecture. In his lecture, he said that those who are there in this theater, those who have crossed the age of 50, are perhaps not fortunate enough. He said like that because he said those who crossed for 50 naturally may die soon. And those who are below the age of 50, naturally they will live more. He was saying that in the context that ultimately he said, in the coming future, some revolution is going to take place in electronics. And what he said at that time, before 25 years, has become true. We are seeing wonders in the field of electronics. Ghaliban, यहाँ इस मिसाल को देना गैर वाजिबी ना होगा. When we were child, we used to hear the stories of Alauddin and wonderful lamp. So this wonderful lamp is nowadays is there in the hands of each and everybody, and that is electronic instrument. We may call it cell, we may call it laptop, we may call it tab, we may call it desktop, anything. But wonders are we are taking from it. बजा तौर पे सिद्दीकी साहब ने कहा और बजा तौर पे शाहीन मैडम ने भी कहा और बजा तौर पे सैयदा हाजिरा नौशीन साहबा ने भी कहा, इसी बात पर जोर देते हुए. और ये भी कहा गया कि जो ये कोविड-19 जो रहा, इसकी इब्तिदा से पहले कि जो ज़माना था वो किस तरह से था और उसके बाद का ज़माना जो है वो किस तरह से है. यहाँ मैं ख़ास तौर पे जैसा कि सब जानते हैं ये बताना चाहूँगा, अगर फ़र्ज़ कीजिए बिलफ़र्ज़ जस्ट इमेजिन अगर ये एवोल्यूशन और रेवोल्यूशन ना होता और फिर कोविड का इश्यू हमारे सामने होता, तो ज़ाहिर है हम बेबस हो जाते, कुछ नहीं कर पाते. मगर बिकॉज़ ऑफ एवोल्यूशन एंड बिकॉज़ ऑफ रेवोल्यूशन ओनली we did everything as if there is no COVID at all. अगर फ़र्ज़ कीजिए ये चीज़ें ना होते तो शायद हम एडमिशन्स अपने स्टूडेंट्स के नहीं कर पाते ऑनलाइन, शायद उनके एग्ज़ाम्स भी नहीं हो पाते, शायद उनके क्लासेस भी नहीं हो पाते और शायद आज हम इस तरह से जो बात कर रहे हैं ये गुफ्तगू भी नहीं हो पाती. तो ये सब चीज़ें बिकॉज़ ऑफ एवोल्यूशन एंड रेवोल्यूशन ओनली. और आने वाले दिनों में नामालूम और किस तरह की इन्वेंशंस इसमें होंगे जिसका इमेजिन करना भी शायद मुश्किल होगा. बहरहाल इस मौके के लिए ऑर्गेनाइजर्स का ख़ास तौर पर सिटी औरंगाबाद और वहाँ के जो प्रिंसिपल साहबा हैं डॉक्टर शाहीन अल्ताफ़ शेख साहबा का शुक्रिया अदा करते हुए, इस उम्मीद के साथ के प्रोफेसर श्रीनिवास साहब और डॉक्टर इंद्रानी मैडम को सुनने के बाद हमारे जो सामीन हैं वो और इससे मुताल्लिक़ मज़ीद मालूमात हासिल करेंगे और फिर अपने जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं या जो भी स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं उनके साथ भरपूर इंसाफ कर पाएंगे. मैं अपनी बात को ख़त्म करता हूँ. ऑल द बेस्ट टू ऑल ऑफ यू.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया सर. सर ने अपने तजुर्बात और कई मिसालों के जरिए हमारे साथ अपने तजुर्बात शेयर करते हुए सर ने बताया कि किस तरह से कोविड-19 के हालात में रेवोल्यूशन एंड एवोल्यूशन मददगार साबित हो रहे हैं. It is really a wonderful and excellent experience to see and listen you, sir. I hope all the participants had received productive, rich, and constructive knowledge through your presidential address. Thank you so much once again, sir. Now, inaugural session comes to an end. So, I would like to request Dr. Shaheen Parveen ma'am, Assistant Professor MANUU CT Aurangabad, to propose vote of thanks. With kind request, mic is over to Dr. Shaheen Parveen ma'am. Thank you.
Shukriya Hajira madam. Honorable dignitaries of today's function, participants from various colleges and universities, principals, faculties of CTs, HODs of various departments of Maulana Azad Urdu National University, and students. A very good morning. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh. I, Dr. Shaheen Parveen, on behalf of MANUU City Aurangabad, proposes vote of thanks on today's function. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Professor S.M. Rahmatullah sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor in charge Maulana Azad Urdu University, for sparing time from his busy schedule to grace this inaugural session. सर का मैं तहे दिल से हमारी पूरी मानू सिटी औरंगाबाद की तरफ से शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि सर ने न सिर्फ इस प्रोग्राम की हमें इजाजत दी, बल्कि इस प्रोग्राम में शिरकत करके इस प्रोग्राम को रौनक भी बख्शी और अपने बहुत ही अच्छे ख्यालात से हमें नवाजा है। सर का जो अंदाज बयान है वो बहुत ही मोतबर और मौक़िफ़ रहा है और उसके शिरकत से हमारा प्रोग्राम आला सतह पे पहुंच गया है। During this presidential address, Sir has given us a very good insight on the revelations and technology. After that, my sincere thanks to Professor Siddiqui Mohammad Mahmood Sir, Registrar in Charge and Dean School of Education, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, for motivating us to take the initiative to organize this webinar and giving his valuable suggestions and remarks on the new challenges faced by education system during this pandemic. सर, एक बार मैं फिर से सर का तहे दिल से बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि उन्होंने इस वेबिनार के थीम पर बहुत ही वाज़ु अंदाज में इस पर रोशनी डाली, इवोल्यूशन और ई रिवोल्यूशंस पे, और सर के जो हमेशा मशवरे रहते हैं हमारे लिए मशाले राह रहे हैं और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि सर ने जो हमें मशवरे दिए हैं इंशाल्लाह इस प्रोग्राम के दौरान पूरे होने की तगार पे रहेंगे इंशाल्लाह। I also wish to express my gratitude to the convener of the webinar, Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh. She is also the principal of MANUU City Aurangabad for introducing the theme of the webinar and highlighting its need in the present scenario. I am also thankful to the Professor K. Srinivas Sir, ICT and Project Manager NIPA, New Delhi, and Professor Indrani Baduri Madam, Head National Achievement Survey Cell NCRT, New Delhi, for accepting our invitation to grace this webinar as a resource person. I am also extended my sincere thanks, gratitude to Rizwan Ahmad Sir or Umar Azmi Sir, Instructional Media Center, Maulana Azad Urdu National University, for provided technical support, without which it would not have been possible to live stream this webinar on various platforms like Facebook and YouTube. I also thankful to the principals of CTEs, HODs of various departments for taking out their valuable time in attending this inaugural session. I am equally thankful to all the participants for showing interest in attending and presenting paper in this webinar. Last but not the least, I would like to thank my colleagues Dr. Badrul Islam Sir for providing his valuable guidance, Mr. Sayyada Hajra Noshin Madam for accompanying this inaugural session, and Uzma Siddiqui Madam and all the other teachings and non-teaching faculty for extending their help in organizing this program. I hope that we will learn lot of new things in this webinar, and with this I end my vote of thanks. Thank you so much. Over to Hajra ma'am.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for giving vote of thanks. It is just a reminder for all the participants that after vote of thanks, we will continue the session with our STEAM resource persons. Thank you so much. Now, I request Dr. Badrul Islam Sir, Assistant Professor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, College of Teacher Education, Aurangabad, to please introduce our STEAM resource person, Professor K. Srinivas Sir, Professor and Head, ICT and Project Manager, NIPA, New Delhi. Over to Badrul Islam.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया हाजरा मैम, मुझे बड़ी मसरत हो रही है. It is my privilege to introduce Professor K. Srinivas Sir, Muhtaram Sheikhul Jamia, Professor SM Rahmatullah Sahab, Muhtaram Dean, Registrar in Charge, मेरे उस्ताद डॉक्टर सिद्दीकी मोहम्मद महमूद सर, मोहतरमा डॉक्टर शाहीन अल्ताफ शेख साहिबा, प्रिंसिपल मानू सिटी औरंगाबाद, मेरे कलीग्स और तमाम ही सामाईन, ये मेरे लिए बड़ी मसरत का मौका है कि मुझे प्रोफेसर के श्रीनिवास सर को इंट्रोड्यूस करने का, उनका तारुफ पेश करने का मौका मिल रहा है। फ्रेंड्स, आप जानते हैं कि प्रोफेसर के श्रीनिवास सर इस वक्त नीपा, नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ एजुकेशनल प्लानिंग एंड एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, जो कि न सिर्फ नेशनल बल्कि इंटरनेशनली अक्लेम्ड इंस्टीट्यूट है, एंड आई एम प्राउड दैट प्रोफेसर के श्रीनिवास हैज कंसेंटेड to deliver his lecture in our webinar. So sir is a professor and head ICT department in NIPA. His teaching areas are management information system, database management system, computer application in project management and learning management system. तो आपको अंदाजा हो रहा होगा कि सर की जो एरियाज ऑफ इंटरेस्ट है उसका और हमारे इस वेबिनार के थीम का कितना डायरेक्ट ताल्लुक है। और हम रियली आई एम थैंकफुल टू सर दैट यू हैव कंसेंटेड टू बी पार्ट ऑफ आवर वेबिनार। सर की जो रिसर्चेस हैं वो ई लर्निंग पर हैं, ओपन एजुकेशनल रिसोर्सेस पर हैं, मूक्स जिसका भी हमारे मोहतरम सिद्दीकी सर जिक्र कर रहे थे, मैस्यू ऑनलाइन ओपन कोर्सेस, वो भी आपके जो है रिसर्च एरियाज में हैं। क्लाउड इंटरप्राइज एंड रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट एंड प्लानिंग, उसमें भी आपने काम किया है। सेमेटिक वेब एंड इंफॉर्मेशन रिट्राइवल मॉडलिंग, इस पर भी आपका जो है बड़ा काम है। सर है जो अपने साथ 2 मास्टर्स डिग्री रखते हैं, मास्टर इन फिजिक्स फ्रॉम आंध्रा यूनिवर्सिटी एंड मास्टर ऑफ कंप्यूटर एप्लीकेशन फ्रॉम मद्रास यूनिवर्सिटी, एंड ही डिड हिज पीएचडी इन कंप्यूटर साइंस फ्रॉम जामिया मिलिया इस्लामिया न्यू दिल्ली। और सर ने अब तक का जो श्रीनिवास सर का 22 इयर्स ऑफ टीचिंग एंड रिसर्च एक्सपीरियंस है, उसमें आपने इंडस्ट्री को भी सपोर्ट किया है, सॉफ्टवेयर भी डेवलप किए हैं, कंसल्टेंसी भी प्रोवाइड की है, और ट्रेनिंग का जहां तक मामला है तो जाहिर है इतनी सारी एक्सपर्टीज के साथ तो सर को बहुत ज्यादा जगहों पर ट्रेनर होना ही चाहिए था, एंड ही इज देयर, ही इज एसोसिएटेड विद द फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम्स in a refresher course, orientation course of various national and state universities. तो सर मैं आपका इस ब्रीफ इंट्रोडक्शन, ज़ाहिर है और बहुत कुछ कहा जा सकता है, लेकिन इस वक्त हमारे सारे ऑडियंस जो हैं वो आपको सुनने के लिए बेताब हैं, तो मैं आपके और उनके दरमियान ज़्यादा देर हायल न रहते हुए आपको दरख्वास्त करता हूँ, आई रिक्वेस्ट प्रोफेसर के श्रीनिवास सर टू डिलीवर हिज लेक्चर। नाउ ओवर टू प्रोफेसर के श्रीनिवास सर। Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. And please confirm my voice is audible clearly.
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Yeah. And the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Registrar, and my most respected the faculty members and organizing team of this webinar on e-revolution and e-evolution. Yeah. And thank you very much for providing me the opportunity to interact with you all and sharing my thoughts. And there is a small correction. I'm almost 32 years of experience, not 22. I heard about that. Maybe probably you must be going through the little older CV of mine. And because I am not that much young of so I'm an old man. So that's one part of it. And first of all, let me congratulate the MANUU Aurangabad Department of Teacher Education to conducting this kind of a wonderful initiative, and providing me the opportunity to share with you all. And so what is I think the Honorable Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Registrar has rightly mentioned about the need of this kind of a thing, and a small virus which has changed the way we have been doing. And मैं Allah का शुक्रगुजार हूँ, and I could able to see that last 1 year, and the same thing which I have been preaching for the last 14 years, traveling length and breadth of this country. But what has happened starting from the 1st March till yesterday evening, and through this technology, and not only the technology, intent of the people is also very clear. What I could able to see that I could able to conduct around 33,000 participants across India. And out of this 33,000, there are 3,000 participants from across the globe also. So and so that what is happening is there is a lot of interest, and of course necessity is the mother of invention. We cannot even escape this. But there are issues out there. There are challenges out there. There are concerns out there. Even yesterday when I was discussing, हमेशा लोग मसले को लेके आते हैं. मैं हमेशा एक बात कहता हूँ, मसले पहले भी थे, आगे भी रहेंगे. जब हम वर्तमान में जिएंगे, we want to see that how do we address it? Because when we all of us joined this teaching profession, we were told two important things. Teaching is an art and teaching is a science. Teaching is both. And जब तक आपके अंदर वो जज्बा नहीं रहता, and you cannot be a teacher simply reproducing, especially during this pandemic time, and while delivering the online mode of teaching, and बहुत सारे दूध का दूध पानी का पानी हो गया, and people started, and even parents, their family members, spouse, everybody started commenting, अरे यार ये सर देखो ऐसे पढ़ा रहे, ये मैडम देखो ऐसे पढ़ा रही, ये मैडम चिल्ला रही है. And many a times we don't know how to manage the webcam. कुत्ता भौंक जाता है, बिल्ली म्याऊं करता है, और चाचा जी, चाची जी, बुआ जी, वो सब लोग आ जाते हैं स्क्रीन के अंदर. And there are many things have been happening, and we never know that how to manage things and all. That's one part. And a small correction which is there on your screen. I'm professor. I'm head an ICT and project management unit. I'm not a project manager. In government setups, we don't have any project manager. I'm head of project management unit. That is a specialized a setup which exclusively deal with the research. Fine. Coming back to this, my topic. We know that, as I already mentioned, that there are some issues are there. There are some challenges. In the meanwhile, what happened? The new education policy came. UGC has constituted many committees, implementation committees, and EPA constituted a committee. And of course, MHRD has constituted a committee. And, with the grace of the Almighty, I was associated with some of these important committees to give my practical, real time experiences. So I think some of the things which have been moving in. So some of those experiences I wish to share with you. So first thing I just want to say that I'm a practitioner first. So first of all, whatever I say, I'll practice myself. Then of course, it was all started with the University of Hyderabad. And way back in around 2009, 2008 or 2009, I used to go to this academic staff colleges for conducting the workshops and all, especially during the time MANUU and MANUU Hyderabad and University of Hyderabad. And myself and the current director, Professor Narsimlu, we both of us started discussing why don't we use a tool which could be, and I'm talking about 2009, during the time, especially many things we used to speak, but it never happened. So somehow this technology mediated teaching learning process has been thought of. And what I used to happen during those days that I traveled 2 days before to the respective places, install the software, customize it, then we used to teach it. That's how the things have started. There are many things have been added to that. But especially during this pandemic time, a lot of things have been happened, a lot of things are happening. But the question in this case is, what are the things which have been happening? Are they yielding any right results? Are the teachers happy? Are the students happy? And what all is supposed to be done? So that's how I'm going to share my thoughts on that. I have a small presentation which I made it for you, and so I'll be sharing my presentation. And so I request all of you kindly look into this one and take an advantage of this. This is my presentation, and which is titling the building the competencies of teachers for blended learning environment, a step-by-step approach. Ma'am, could you please confirm me my presentation is coming and I'm visible on the screen?
Yes, visible.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You know it. It's a competency building of the teachers, and which I have been speaking, especially during this COVID pandemic times. More than 1,600 workshops I conducted, and as something from NEPA, and major part from associating from the different institutions across India as well as across the world. And one thing which is very important to me, and I want if you want to strengthen the system, if you want to make the change happens in the system, what is important to me is the human wear component, strengthening the human wear component. And not only the strengthening means conducting a 6-day program, 60 days program, 600 days program, 60,000 days program. That's not the one which has been taken. That's very important. But my important suggestion would be, you conduct a program, a focused program, which should be having all 4 components: lecture component, discussion component, demonstration component, and hands-on component. That would be there. The second important factor would be, and try to provide the extended hand-holding support to the faculty members in the process of their implementation. Otherwise, what happened, whatever the seriousness we put on that, and these are my thoughts which I communicated to many forums very clearly, because one such initiative which I have been doing for quite some time, for almost 7 to 8 years, NEPA conducting this kind of a programs, building the competencies of teachers for almost 6 days. And 6 days means every day we have 1.5 hour of the 4 sessions, so 24 sessions. What I generally used to do, I used to create a WhatsApp group, a focused academic WhatsApp group. This is the smallest innovation I think many of you must be doing. But what I've been noticing, that it is having a lot of impact on the confidence and support implementation of the faculty members. What have been noticed that sorry, is that so before at least 4 days before the start of the workshop, we used to prepare at that WhatsApp group, and the timetable, the expectations from the faculty members will be shared well in advance. That's number one. The second point is, during the workshop time, of course, the WhatsApp will be used very extensively. As I already mentioned, that it is an academic WhatsApp group. No nonsense forwarders, no good mornings, and nothing has been allowed to post. But what is the extra value addition we are providing is the 30 days extended support to the faculty members during the implementation plan. Every faculty member was expected to provide submit a detailed report of implementation strategical kind of a thing, so that whatever they want to do it, they could able to do it in a much more clarity manner. So what I'm trying to say, these are all the innovations matter. Nobody is going to tell, and our education policy, nobody is nothing is going to tell. It all comes with, because when we are conducting, because NEPA is a premier institution on planning, management, and administration, and this interventions of ICT in teaching, learning, research, and other aspects will be very much important as such. That's the reason I'm pitching this. One of the important questions people generally used to ask me before or after the workshop is, please share your PPT, please share your PPT. I not only the PPT sharing, I'm going to share the entire some useful information I have created. And this is not a website of mine, this is my learning portal, which I have been using day-to-day basis with my students. And of course, let me give you a small description of this. This is my learning management system which I have been using, and which is having certain certain important processes like I always believe in pedagogy first and ICT tool next. And so the pedagogy which I've been using in this the blended learning environment, I'm more comfortable with the flip mode of teaching. And whether it is classroom interaction, whether it is a lab interaction, I'm very much comfortable. And I used to provide the necessary instructions to my students well in advance before start of my paper itself. First almost 10 days I have been we are using this. Okay, then let me come to this part as such. So what is what is this platform, and how I'm using this platform? Before the COVID time, let's talk about the before the COVID, because all three phases it is being used perfectly all right, and I've been using for last almost 14 years this platform. So before the COVID time, and whatever the paper which I was supposed to teach, I divide the paper into several weeks and divide the objectives and expected outcomes. And to the best of my ability, whatever the material which is available over there in the public domain, and the material which I have been prepared will be shared. And I follow the four quadrant instructional design approach what Swayam is being following over there. And apart from this, I generally group my students in such a way that because in my class, like in any other class, I have slow learners, I have average learners, I have gifted learners. Of course, in my class there are introverts, there are extroverts. Of course, language is a big issue still, because I'm more comfortable to use English, Hindi plus English. So and of course the digital divide part. So to create an amicable learning environment, I used to group around 6 to 7 people in a one group, consisting of this fast learners, average learners, and slow learners together. And a problem based approach will be given for them, and there is a collaborative learning environment has been created over there. And this is and every group or every student is expected to go through the before attending my class, generally 48 to 72 hours before, the entire information will be shared with them. And only with completing the prerequisites they will be allowed to come to the class. So logic is pretty simple. Neither I go to the class blank, nor I allow my students to sit blank. Why I have been saying so that when they come to the class, and we sometimes, yes, it depends. I could able to see track the progress of the students using this learning management system portal, and I could able to see what is happening, and accordingly, a student wise or a group wise, I've been providing the extra information to the students. That is one part of it. And of course, then I'll be meeting the students face to face, absolutely. And we have, but the only problem what I've been noticing it, because since our classes are only 1 hour, many things cannot be happened. So this extended support through this portal will be a much needed effort. Okay, then this lockdown period has been announced. The only change which has happened is face-to-face classes has been replaced by the synchronous learning environment platforms like Zoom, Skype, and Google Meet kind of an environment. And so this kind of a blending, whatever I have been showing now, and this is being continued over there. So what is the difference between people like you? You must have already, some of you must have already opened the link which is on your screen. It looks like a website for many of you, but it's not a website. Okay. And because using some of the features of the software, I made the system in such a way that you could able to access the site like this. This is one part of it. And and for my student, what is the difference? This is what precisely I'm going to say. For my students, I'm whereas first of all, a learned colleagues like you, I'm just only your guest to me, and you could able to access the contents of my site. That's all. Whereas for my students, they will be with me for 6 months. So I had to see outside their performance and engagement involvement outside the classroom, and the performance, engagement, and involvement inside the classroom. So I want to see their progression. I want to see what are the issues and challenges with respect to. So this is how this tool will be very much helpful to me. And you must be thinking that I must have spent a good amount of money. Not even a single rupee has been spent. I think probably, if time permits, I'm going to show that what tool I have used and how it is being done. That now this. So it is easy to say many things, but basically being a perfect teacher is not so easy. And lot of things you have to learn, as especially and this online mode of interaction, which has taught us many things. So it is always you need to strive for the best. Then only you will get. And like which I always quote from Alvin Toffler, he says that learn, unlearn, and relearn. If you want to be a best teacher, if you want to be a perfect teacher, what is important to be? You always try your best. You want to see that how best you could able to do that. So every experience, every seminar, every classroom. But generally, what happened whenever we know many things, अरे यार ये तो हमें पता तो है. But then the downfall will start, because there are out of 90 minutes of the class, 85 minutes is known to you, 5 minutes is not. Naturally that 5 minutes will be a game changer for you all. I think that was the attitude we all of us has to move on into this area. And I always try to quote the Albert Einstein's famous, two important famous quotes. Other quote will come next after a few slides. Education is not the learning of the facts, but the training of the mind to think. So I always a firm believer of attitude first, and then comes the aptitude. Whatever the aptitude you have, how great you are, if you do not have the right aptitude, and then it may not work, it may not work. And जैसे हम हमेशा बोलते हैं, हैदराबाद में हम बोलते थे तमीज, तहजीब और लिहाज, ये तीनों चीजों को काफी जरूरत है. And especially in online mode of teaching, always used to tell to people, and and all these things matters a lot. These things matters a lot. And so then other things can automatically happens. Okay. Let's try to understand, because aligning with my title of my presentation, of course, because of the COVID and lockdown, post lockdown, and after the and there are many issues, and colleges were not open. Some cases they opened partially. UGC and ACT is also thinking that let's start doing something in a blended learning environment. So what I've been noticing here is because almost daily, thanks to the grace of the Almighty, I have been working 8 to 10 hours since 1st March, and I don't know how, what drives me to this. What is the positive side I could able to get from the faculty with a small sample size of 33,000 people across India. And the disciplines are medical, engineering, sciences, social sciences, humanities, law. Even in the engineering also, starting from the IIT to triple IT to NIT. Our own Warangal, I mentored them, and there are many good NITs and triple ITs faculty have been mentoring. What is being noticed that people are interested to learn, but people wants to know that what consists of all these things, what we were supposed to do. And to my surprise, in one of the famous uh, engineering college, when I asked that how you are doing, we are saying we are Zoom classes. Okay, I said Zoom classes are fine for the lecturing method and all. What is after the class support? If what type of activities you are giving to the students? So for the extended classroom schedule and all, how are you conducting? How are you motivating? How are you supporting the if there are the issues are there? How are you conducting the internal assessment and all? To my surprise, friends, they said no idea. I think this kind of answer has been given to me. So that's what I've been saying, that I think so faculty members are asking that what all, there are certain more things are there. and they're looking for training in this regard. What are the areas which were I identified very important? So first of all, we need to understand the blended learning environment in its ecosystem. What is this blended learning? What constitutes of this blended learning and its ecosystem? And pedagogies for the blended learning, and not only one pedagogy, and many pedagogies can be able to use, but this is not a compared to kind of a study or PhD kind of a study. We want to see which one. Then what is the role of instructional design in blended learning environment? And what about the resources? And we require resources for the core and supplementary. We want to see that where are they available, and how do we achieve the student learning outcomes? This is again a very important area. And of course, the offline interaction with the students. The more you facilitate, the more you engage, the more you interact with the students, the things can happen. Okay. And apart from this, there are certain section of people. There are excellent teachers in a conventional classroom teaching, but they have certain issues. The issues are teachers have no prior online teaching experience and hence do not wish to swim against. So how do we take them to us? That's one part. Second one is there are certain section of the people having a lack of enthusiasm to learn the new methods and techniques. But yes, they have a right to say that. But it is our responsibility to try to see that how these students can be, how these people can be bring in our fold. And the last one, not convinced about the quality of the delivery and not kind of a delivery which is being done in this case as such. So friends, just a minute. So my point in this case is that there are certain section of things which are going to be are not that much convinced as such now. So but it is we had to make an effort, because there are excellent teachers are there, and so bringing them into this particular blended learning mode is a big task which has to be completed. To do this, all these things, what is important for us is the need. So the need of the hour is adapting the change. Okay, and and if you adopt the change quickly, and always I used to say that I think many of you must have been referred this book by Dr. Spencer Johnson. It talks about that. The title of the book is "Who Moved My Cheese." It talks about the change management and adapting the change. So, and it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us, even for the administrators, academic students. And how do this current situation, how to convert this current situation as a wonderful opportunity and relevant to the present situation. We can also see that what is the strength in the system, what is the weaknesses, what is an opportunity, what is the challenges which we all of us are facing into this. Now I request all of you kindly just um, uh, for a minute to just go through this information which is given over here. Uh, just go through for a minute. Just go through for a minute. We have been talking about the technology to the extent possible, and but I always feel that the effectiveness of the technology is directly proportional to the competence, intent, and attitude of the user. This is a very, very important point. And so what is important to me, that competence building is very important, and building the positive intent and again the right attitude, it matters a lot. Okay, if these three things are there, so whatever the technology which is there, and at the same time, many times we often carried away by the way we say that without the power and without the PowerPoint, the things are stopped. I must tell you one interesting thing which was happened to me um, around around 3-4 years back. I was invited for a MOOCs workshop in one of the centrally funded university. I reached the morning that place in the early morning flight. After reaching, I came to know that there was a load shedding and the power will not be available for 2 days. And there are 95 faculty members who are attending that workshop. There's a big hue and cry saying that what to do, it's a waste of time, blah 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 and all. And I said, fine, it's don't think it's a waste of time. There is something which is very important to do. I said, first of all, I sat with them and we're having a first cup of tea with them, and we discussed a lot of things. I said, look, MOOCs, orientation on the MOOCs means not sitting in front of the computer and pressing the enter button and MOOCs happen and online courses happen. Lot of factors to be considered. You need to design the course, you need to develop the course, you need to deliver the course, and you need to understand the ecosystem. You need to understand how the assessments need to be conducted, and you need to understand what all the aspects to be conducted and all. So what I'm trying to say that after this pep talk, they all convinced and the class started at 9:30 in the morning. And I told one thing to them, that if you are really, if you had any particular issues, then you can simply sit and enjoy the stay over here. But I can tell you one thing. What was happened there is, first and foremost thing, I set up the environment. I convinced them that yes, I can lead to you. And and one of the participants, some of the participants made some sarcastic comments also, saying that, sir, आप power based teacher ho, PowerPoint based teacher ho, kya ho jayega? So I said, you may be thinking that, friends, don't call me. I'm in a class. I will call you later. Don't call me. Huh? So I have told them very clearly that I'm not a power based teacher, nor I am a PowerPoint based teacher. So what I have been told to them is, but when I started my career, there is no power and there is no PowerPoint. I think, but what is important is, if you took the confidence of the faculty members, and believe me, friends, class started 9:30 in the morning. It went up to 1 o'clock. I realized that the power came within 10 minutes, but they never realized that. And we went for a break, and during the break time, they realized that the light came. And but everybody is saying that, I think, sir, there is no requirement of the power for the first day of the program. Uh, Friends, I must tell you that it went on for the 2 days, and without using the PowerPoint, without using the power, and without using the PowerPoint, the matter went on. So, what is important to me? What is important to me? I've been saying that technology is very important, no doubt about it. Without the technology in the current situation, we can't reach the unreached. But what is important for me, the technology should not override, because I want to prove that teacher is supreme here. Absolutely. And teacher has to set up the environment where learning happens. That is very, very important. Okay, let's focus on few important things about this blended learning environment. So the term blended learning, you all must be knowing, is generally applied to the practice of using both online and in-person learning. Why I have been telling that UGC is seriously working on a document where I am associated into this. But what is more important for the blended learning is not a mere mix of online and face-to-face mode, but it refers to a well-planned combination of meaningful activities in both the modes. That is more important to me. The blend demands the consideration of several factors, mainly focusing on learning outcomes and the learner-centric instructional environment. Of course, the teachers have a very important role, and it has got certain important factors to be worked on. So, what are the factors to be considered? And there is some wrong apprehension about the online mode of teaching, because we have seen some of the faculty members simply conducting an online class, replicating like a traditional class, replicating in a computer screen. But that is not an online teaching, I must tell you. Some kind of a delivery is being happening. Every class got certain course goals and learning outcomes. So what is the what were the steps which we need to follow? And first of all, design the curriculum, objectives and expected outcome, understand the objectives and expected outcomes, then consider the online environment. Unfortunately, what is happening is we have Google Classroom, we have Moodle, we have Canvas, we have something, in many cases people are not even understanding what is going to happen. To adopt this kind of change, we require the change in the pedagogy, with instructors taking the role of facilitators of information while guiding the students towards the solution. This is the need of the hour. Why I have been telling very importantly this one. Students are started telling that it is very monotonous, and faculty are started speaking that we are speaking to the walls. I think both the statements are correct to certain extent and wrong to certain extent. And the logic behind this, we never engage the students before that 1 hour class or after the 1 hour class. We are thinking that online mode of a delivery means so open a Zoom class or something else and just talk about extempore for 1 hour. But there is something, because all the students are not equal, and every student learning style is different. So there are slow learners, there are average learners, there are gifted learners, technological problems are there, hardware issues are there, there are many other issues students and are facing. So the point is, so we need to, whatever methodology which we have been adopted in the classroom, it should not work here. That's what. And coming back to the faculty also, the same problem. And faculty started saying that अरे कोई जवाब ही नहीं देता तो मैं दीवारों से बात कर रहा हूँ. I think again I'm not at all convinced the way the statement was made. I never speak to the walls. I know very well that faculty members are listening to me. So if you have that kind of a thing, better to stop it. Don't get into that kind of a mode. So then the process need to be learned. So this is where I've been talking about here. In order for online teaching learning to be successful, both the parties, both the teachers and learners, must take on new roles, and then they have to understand these roles very clearly in the teaching learning relationship. And very important is faculty must be willing to release the control of learning to the students. So is it happening automatically? No. And again, faculty itself, they themselves drive the students to this new kind of environment. I must tell you one thing. And as I told you, the 10 days, whatever the paper which I have been teaching, I engaged my students how by teaching it. So the point is that if you drive them to create this kind of thing, online teaching means Zoom classes. That's all. And people are saying, अरे हम तो वीडियो भेज रहे हैं WhatsApp पे. अरे WhatsApp is good for sharing, but WhatsApp is having so many information. There are so many messages that will be coming, and we are inundated with so much information. We don't know which one is better. So I think whatever you are going to share, it should be done in a more systematic manner, so that any point of time student can go back and revisit that. So what all teachers must be knowing, because my title, I remember my title, it's building the competencies of the teachers for the blended learning environment. So what are those competencies teachers must be having with respect to the designing the online courses, online teaching? First of all, it should be instructor led and student centered. You all must have been remembered that Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable HRM during the last year September Siksha Parv time, and during the lot of series of talks, they have been mentioning about all these things. The 21st century skill, the learning, so we should focus on collaborative learning, participation flexibility, student pacing, team building skills, critical thinking. We need not go anywhere. The kind of tools which have been available right now, and these tools can be integrated so nicely. And the course format, expectations, instructions should be clear and concise. And the last but not the least, the activities and assessments. All student learning is not equal, and we need to provide the activities and assessment should account for the different learning styles. That's very important. So these are all the things while conducting the faculty development program, faculty induction program. This is what precisely I have been saying. Thanks to the grace of the Almighty, I have been associated with UGC HRDC's faculty induction programs to Pandit Madan Mohan Malaviya Teaching Learning Centers, FDPs, to Atal program, ACT, a faculty development program. So everywhere we need to create this kind of environment. This is what I've been precisely saying. Now, what is the paradigm shift which is possible with the help of technology? Without technology, also all these things happen. I never had any doubt as such. But if you have the technology support with you, you can do many things much more a comfortable manner. If you look at the two pictures on your screen, the first one is centralized learning model where teacher will be there in the central and he or she will be pushing the information to the learners. On the second part, of course, that will be there and it will continue for some more time. The second picture will be talking about the pull mode of a learning, whether we call it as a learner centric and learning centric, which provides the 360-degree development of the students. So you can see that in the second picture, the learner would be there in the center. Okay, and then you can so all these things like classroom is very much there, peer learning and interaction with the teacher, learning from the teacher, learning from the content, learning from the peers is very much there. And apart from that, what is important to me is about the other factors like there are a lot many when you are talking about 16th March 2021. There are a lot many self-paced courses on the subject area are being running. So I think that's the reason the teacher can integrate those things or drive the students to learn on their own. And a lot of things are happening in the public internet, knowledge databases, third-party data, online mentoring, skill assessment, and many things have been happening so I think this is a very important thing. So all these things cannot happen automatically. I think many of the teachers are of the opinion that, and कई बार ये भी मैं सुनने के लिए मिलता है कि बच्चे अपने आप पढ़ेंगे. No, बच्चे अपने आप कभी नहीं पढ़ते. तो जब भी ऐसे शब्द हम यूज करेंगे तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट इसका 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 जो प्रभाव पड़ता है हमारे टीचरों के ऊपर. जब बच्चे अपने आप पढ़ेंगे, बच्चे अपने आप ही रिसोर्सेस से पढ़ेंगे, व्हाट इज द नीड ऑफ द टीचर? There is some sources. I often used to say that teacher is a driving force. Please, again, even though I am very much supporter of artificial intelligence and other factors, but what is important to me, I think we need to cross lot many steps to reach that level, because we want to see all institutions to do that, not only specialized institutions, because it's not only a hardware part, it's not only a software part, it's a humanware part. Then we had to build up that environment, we had to build up that congenial environment to do the things happen. So which brings to me one of the another famous quote of Albert Einstein, which I quote: I do not teach anyone, I only provide the environment which they can learn. We can take a lot of cue from this excellent quote of Albert Einstein. So it is very important for us to see that how do we set up the environment, माहौल कैसे बनाया जाता है. तो एक बार माहौल बनने के बाद सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट वाली बात क्या है कि मैं एक छोटी सी बात बता रहा हूँ कि मुझे तो कोई फर्क नहीं महसूस नहीं कर रहा है कि whether I am teaching an online class or a face-to-face class. So that effort remains the same. But one thing, one of the advantage which I have been facing in online teaching is, and there are so many resources are there. So effort remains the same. So, but what is important is you need to sustain. And many a times, what happened, people are very enthusiastically starting that, but what I've been started noticing that enthusiasm need to sustain till the end. अदरवाइज व्हाट हैपन, ठीक है टेक्नोलॉजी को लेके कुछ इसको लेके उसको लेके ये नहीं चल रहे वो नहीं चल रहे. Many times I used to tell to my wife that sitting in this chair 8 to 10 hours. And of course, today I switched on the webcam. Other cases, I generally used to switch off the webcam and so that I can move around and deliver the lecture. So 8 to 10 hours. Earlier, we used to walk around. But luckily, what happened, morning 2 hours and evening 2 hours of hectic things have been there. So I think these are all things which are being happening with the faculty members. So let's try to understand the core components. Again, I'm telling you, friends, this is where many of the faculty members, many of the institutions are not following the procedure need to be done. So what is this? The core components of blended learning environment. I treat it as the three sides of a triangle. First side is a hardware component like laptop, desktop, smartphone, webcam, microphone, and writing devices. One thing is very important here. Smartphone cannot be a comprehensive device. Yes, it is useful to listen the lecture. It is useful to deliver the lecture, but many things cannot be done. Why I said about the hardware, like we have been learning how to use the laptop, how to use the desktop, we also should know how to use a webcam and microphone. This is very, very important statement I want to make, because many a times we are not aware that how to, and when students are doing this kind of things, we often get angry with them. So that's not the case as such. So there are a lot of nice writing devices are also available, which is less expensive part. The second thing is about the software. There are two types of software platforms are required here. One is synchronous learning platforms, synchronous learning and synchronous learning platforms. The examples are there on your screen. All this Skype, Zoom, Google Meet, Jitsi, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams are part of that. Of course, there are many things are there. So what is happening in this synchronous learning? And how this is connected with the extended learning, that is more important. Okay, so generally what happened when we talk about 90 minutes rhetoric, it looks pretty simple, but if you can demonstrate with a valid proof of evidence, and it will reside on the person, and if you have also give them a little bit of hands-on exposure, also things will work. So in the synchronous learning, students can interact, discuss, share, and develop the perspectives to all the content that they have studied and absorbed during the synchronous mode. You please understand carefully. This is a very much need of the hour. So what is this asynchronous learning? Of course, all our learning management systems, we call it as the asynchronous learning. And of course, we have several platforms. Even our Swayam platform is a big learning management system. The Moodle, the Google Classroom, the Canvas, the Edmodo, all these things part of that. So what is going to happen over there? Why we are going to use it? I think this is one of the interesting research topic also. I think I encourage the because a lot of students are also there. We could able to work on this. But recently, what type of a work is also happening? Let me explain to you. Recently, some student within Delhi only, she came to me saying that, sir, my guide has referred your name. And so I said, what can I do for you? She said, sir, there is a question here. We want you to please, this is a tool I developed. And of course, very good number of questions are there. And before attempting that quiz or vetting that tool, I said, um, what is your understanding about this online courses? What is your understanding about these MOOC courses? Have you ever completed any course? Have you ever thought of that? Have you attended any online course being delivered in your university? She said, she expressed her innocence and ignorance. I said, madam, innocence and ignorance cannot be expressed for long. So my point is, before, definitely you have prepared a nice questionnaire, but don't confine that, because, and you have been doing a research work on the effectiveness of MOOCs and something like that. So before that, first of all, you try to understand, try to clear at least 2 courses. Then come to me, then I'll, and of course, last 1 year, uh, uh, the researcher came around 4 or 5 times. Now, finally, after 1 year, the researcher started saying that, yes, I have some idea about what I've been doing. So don't do the research only for sake of research, especially this ICT based or MOOCs or online and any other thing. Like for example, this is what I've been saying in front of you. So this asynchronous learning includes the activities which students can pursue beyond their class hours. Means the teacher in his lesson, in his or her lesson plan, must be having the activities to be performed in class. Activities must be performed outside the class, and also the teacher must be very clear about what type of the advantage, the value addition, this kind of things will be done. Point number two, to facilitate this kind of an environment, you require resources. And resources, you all know very well that there are three types of resources are available. One, ICT facilities of Government of India, and excellent facilities being available by the state government institutions and higher education councils. I know something in Andhra Pradesh, I know something in Telangana, and Tamil Nadu also doing, Karnataka, Kerala is also doing, Haryana, UP is doing. There are so many, even Maharashtra is also doing. So there are so many initiatives are there. So the resources for this kind of for the blended learning environment can be taken from them. The second one is open educational resources, and excellent good quality content is available. The third one is, if as per your lesson plan, objectives and outcome, the requisite material is not available, then generate the content. But what is happening currently, I think this is again a big mistake, I must tell you friends. People are only focusing on content development. Yes, I can understand. The content in Urdu is not available. The content in Persian is not available. Content Telugu is not available. Tamil is not available. Hindi is not available. Just develop the content. If the content is all, your course is in English, and it is a typical course which you have been following. So why you should start with the content development first? I think this is one of the important thing one should flag on that. And excellent Creative Commons material is available over there. So what is important? I wish all of you kindly read that last paragraph, which is a very important paragraph, which I said. The pre-recorded lectures, the e-content, are particularly well suited for the asynchronous learning, as students can watch pre-recorded sessions. Means it is not automatic. You need to drive the students to learn this kind of things initially. Then after, subsequently, students can able to do, and on their free time, thus ensuring maximum and effective utilization of the time marked for live classes in face-to-face interaction and discussion. So if you create that environment outside of the class, so that whatever the 1 hour time or 1.5 hour time you must be having can be properly utilized. I think this is what the two teachers has to know. This is what the two teachers has to realize, the importance of the learning management system, which should be connected, which is playing a major role in the blended learning environment. And but what is important apart from this? What are the other advantages? Convenience of access is one such advantage. Second, very very importantly, about the opportunity for the collaborative learning, and students can collaborate with each other for enhanced and enriched peer learning, like state document message boards and all. But again, this is not automatic, and there are certain let me show you a few interesting tools which I often used to recommend in this kind of an environment. Is about there are excellent tools like um, you know uh, these are all ICT tools for collaboration, user generated content. For the blogging, of course, we can use blogger.com. For sticky notes tools like Jamboard is now part of our Gmail family. Idea Flip and Linoit. For the shared documents, I think we must encourage them to use the Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Etherpad, Scatterspoke, and Idea Boards. For the concept mapping and mind mapping, Miro, Google Drawing, Concept Board, Google, and of course, Bubblers. For the comprehensive activity tools, Padlet, Miro, and Whimsical. Why I have been saying these things? If you can create that kind of an environment, And if you can create that, what is a collaborative environment, how this collaborative environment can be used in the process, then students can start learning all these things. Otherwise, what happened? It is only confined. You must have all realized that in many of the Swayam courses, exceptions are NPTEL courses, exceptions are some of the centrally funded courses. What is happening is students are not even bothering about that fourth quadrant called discussion forum, because there is no such concept. See, theoretically, we talk about the constructivism. The Moodle learning management system was developed on the constructivist pedagogical approach. So, along with the constructivism, along with teaching the constructivist approach, I think extensive hand-holding can be provided on Moodle learning management system and how it has been developed, what are the tools are which is going to be used. So it will be having a last impact on. Again, I've been telling the same thing in the faculty development programs also. This particular thing can be done. The third important aspect of this this thing is about the teacher and the role of a teacher. This is a very important aspect, and these are all the teachers has to. These are the competencies of the teachers must be there, and the role of a teacher in the blended learning environment is very important, and a teacher has to like, of course, he must be a good subject expert, and they should have a thorough understanding, both conceptual as well as, that means, theoretical and practical also, and understanding the ecosystem, and how to design, develop, and deliver blended learning courses, and course planning and organization, verbal and non-verbal presentation skills, collaborative teamwork, questioning strategies, very very important. And even the type of assessments which we are creating, and there are some knowledge level questions, and there is again what I have been hearing, and last year during the pandemic time, there is a big human cry about the using the multiple choice quiz for the conducting the examination. People often used to say that no, it is a formative assessment which cannot be used. Fine, it is a formative assessment, but what level of questions you are generating? I think one has to look. We have four types of questions: knowledge level, application level, critical thinking level, analytical thinking level. Of course, we can add the understanding kind of a questions also. My point in this case is, if you focus only on the knowledge level, yes, it may not be. But what is stopping you to create the application level questions? What is stopping you to create the critical thinking kind of a questions? What is stopping you to create the analytical thinking kind of a questions? If you create that kind of an environment, you see that how um, uh, uh, this MCQ multiple choice quiz could be. All the standard topmost testing agencies are using this kind of. Recently, I was asked to prepare 50 questions on my own discipline, computer science. Sir, it took me 7 days, literally 7 days. I stopped everything and to prepare, and they provide the syllabus, they provide the curriculum, and it took me 7 days for 50 questions. So I think now I'm throwing some light on you, that so that you can think of that, and very importantly, I wish to bring to your kind attention, this is a special situation, and many of us are not realizing that no, ye nahi hona chahiye, wo nahi hona chahiye. One more problem, what I have been noticed from the faculty members, they said they all started with a negative note. Recently, I got one call from one of the faculty saying that we want to conduct some open book. I said, कर सकते हो. अरे यार copy करे तो. मैंने कहा, first of all, why should you start with the negative note? Number one, it is new to you, it is new to the students. अरे अबे तो ये नहीं पता चलता, इतने इतने साल हो गए पढ़ाते पढ़ाते, हमें तकरीबन 30 साल हो गए, 35 साल हो गए. अरे 4 असेसमेंट्स में से एक में ज्यादा स्पाइक आ गई, उसमें आपने एप्लीकेशन लेवल के क्वेश्चन दिया था, एंड बाकी में तो 10 में से 5, 2, 1 ऐसा ऐसा चीज आ गए. कैन यू टेल देम दैट वेयर इट इज वेंट रॉन्ग? First and foremost thing, my sincere request is, don't get into that negative note in the to begin with. And there are so many, and at the same time, I am totally against that imposing too much technology. And ye camera hona chahiye, wo camera. I'll tell you one interesting thing. My daughter is pursuing law, and when she is taking the test, there is a we at home, उनका इम्तिहान मतलब अपना इम्तिहान, मैं एक दिन के लिए छुट्टी करके घर पे बैठा रहता हूँ, और उस कमरे में कोई आना नहीं चाहिए, सामने एक कैमरा है, सामने एक ये जो डेस्कटॉप है, वेबकैम है, and light should not go, and on the right side there is another laptop webcam, and of course I said, why are we doubting the students? Are we not creating this kind of an image on the students? Of course, I said there are some elements are there, but I never ever think that it's new. It's everything new to them, and we had to work on that one. Okay, now let's come to this pedagogical aspects. There are many pedagogies which is fitting into the blended learning environment, but one of the pedagogical model which is having a very nice and integration, which I have been practically using for quite some time, is the flipped classroom pedagogical model, where moving from the lecture method to the activity based approach. But again, one of the comment people often used to tell me about this, are we need to prepare all these things? I said yes, of course, because if you are retiring tomorrow or day after tomorrow, no problem. If you are having a 10 years of service, if you are having a 20 years of service, if you are having a 30 years of service, whatever we have been talking about here, and that too you all must be knowing the new educational policy, there are many things, there are ICT based. It's not a rocket science, but what is important to me that we had to make a step, so then it can get realized. So it's basically a pedagogy first approach, where the course materials are introduced outside of the class. So in the classroom, it is repurposed for inquiry, application, and assessment. This is a simple definition. And there are certain simple steps out there. I just want to show you. Probably I'll just spend some 2 minutes on showing these steps on your screen. Madam, just confirm to me, is it coming on your screen? No.
Yes,
What I
sir.
was supposed to. No, that steps I have opened, is it coming on your screen?
No, it's showing. Please click the above link.
So I think I need to share once again, or what?
Yeah, I think you have to share again once again because you've shifted to another tab.
1 minute. Okay. Application window. Chrome tab. Okay, 1 minute. Flipped classroom. Yeah. But again, if I want to go back, then I had to stop and do it, right?
Otherwise, you can share your full screen. Then it will show whatever you are showing on the laptop.
No. This is okay. But if I want to go back to my PPT, so
Then you
anyway,
have to stop and
that's
share
fine.
it.
That's fine. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. This is again one of the experience of this specialized software. So what are the steps? So why I've been trying to show these steps is it is easily implementable. So what is important is we are and one of the important technique of lesson plan we forget in the higher education, and especially in some of the disciplines we never talk about this one. I think it's very much need of the hour. I in many meetings I myself recommended that I think the faculty members must be provided the training on what kind of a serious training is being happening in B.Ed. M.Ed. colleges, and especially engineering and other disciplines also. So the steps are very important here. You can see it's basically the teacher must be clear about the lesson plan, objectives, and outcome, and what is someone's microphone is on, please. Someone's microphone is on. Yeah, and what is important is first level, try to search and get the material from the ICT initiatives of the government of India or from the Creative Commons sources. I'm not going in detail about what is the Creative Commons. So there are certain things. So we need to plan your class accordingly. And there are certain formats are there where you need to put the data into that, and of course proper validation is also required and what it is going to make it. As far as the action plan with the students to complete the step 1, you can use the WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups, and Google groups as the first stage. But more appropriate is you can use the Google Classroom or Moodle learning management system in this regard. As far as the step 2 is concerned, if the appropriate content suitable for the class is not available, then prepare the e-lectures or e-tutorials using the simple software and apps and share it among the students. Friends, I don't want to take the risk of, because generally, if you use any standard synchronous software, it is opening. Because in my case, it is not opening, it seems. Ma'am, is it coming on your screen? No, it is not coming. So what should I do? Because these are all the sublinks which I have created.
Hello,
So
sir.
is there any way to
Hello.
add? Yeah.
Sir, share your entire screen, sir. When you are sharing, share your entire screen. Then
So no, see, when I click on the share, see
stop sharing and then share again.
Okay.
Share again.
Share. So I have two
And
options. One is video. Oh, hold on. One is video file, and second one is share screen.
share screen, yes, sir.
So I'm using the share screen only.
And
The share screen.
select entire screen. Then after.
यार इसमें आ नहीं रहे ना. इसमें से एक share screen का option आ रहा है.
Share screen click करने.
Okay, first one. Okay.
Yes,
Not the Chrome tab. Okay.
With audio, sir. With audio. If there is any audio in your video, then you have to select audio option also.
एक सेकंड, मेरे ख्याल से इसके अंदर नहीं है. मैं
ठीक है सर.
So I think these are all. Can you confirm to me this list of softwares and mobile apps is coming on your screen?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say that these are all the softwares that the teacher can start using it, and there are so many software applications are available. Why only I am talking about few of them here, and the learning curve is not that much steep. And why this? Why should we start using it? And there are two reasons. Number one, and sooner or later, and every faculty may be the government may asking the every faculty members to contribute into this Swayam initiatives, some level or other, because we required faculty members for the course design, we required faculty members for the content development and video content development, text content development, and many other, and we required faculty members for the delivery aspect, course transaction aspect, assessment preparation aspect. We required faculty for motivating, sensitizing, and engaging the learners. There are so many aspects are there. So this particular exposure on using such kind of a software, for example, Audacity, one of the easiest software where we can use the audio lectures and you can connect it nicely. Same thing with the, there are some screen recording softwares like Screencastify, FreeCam, for video recording also, Presentation Tube, Screencast-O-Matic, OBS Studio. Of course, the numbering may change here and there. So these are all general things which we have been using. And as far as the mobile screen recording is concerned, Screencast-O-Matic as unlimited recording, mobile recording, and editing is also possible. As far as the learning management system is concerned, Genomio Moodle, Genomio.com has providing an excellent, during this last 1 year, almost wherever I conduct my workshops, Moodle is a very important component of that. Of course, Moodle with Google Classroom and along with the Canvas. These are the three platforms we conduct the practical hand-holding to be used for the this blended learning environment. But Genomio, I must tell you that the free side, which is taking care of 250 users, and that people are conducting the test, and it never created any kind of a thing. And something like the open shot video editing software, these are all some of the things which we can practice in day-to-day basis. Not necessarily we need not have any specialized software, specialized studios kind of a thing, of course. But I can tell you one thing: before going to the studio and facing the camera, I think this exposure is very much important for the faculty members to do. Okay, so coming back to the blended the steps for the flipped classroom, and yes, step 2 means you can create, and of course the sharing purpose is this. And step 3, 4 are very important. The teacher must ensure students read and view the study material shared outside of the class and come prepared for the class. And this is very important thing. If it is part of your rule book, then only the students will say. Otherwise, there are I have seen that many cases the learning management systems are not being used to the extent possible. And step 4, and so what is important is to support and motivate the learners. The teacher can create a comprehensive continuous assessment method, and so that we can provide some extra marks for the, so for the performance, engagement, and involvement of the students, both outside oblique inside of the classroom. Step 5. So what is so these are the 3, 4, 5, 6 are very important for the teacher. Teacher must ensure the class time is devoted to applied learning activities. It all depends on how seriously, how focusedly you engage the students outside the classroom. And many times what happened, within 1 hour many things are not happening, and this can be connected over there. So and the last but not the least, yes, you can create a comprehensive support system, which is having a very focused way of interacting with the students also, which is having a larger impact on the students. So this is about the pedagogy, the flipped classroom pedagogy. One of the important pedagogical methods can be used in this blended learning environment. The next important factor is about the instructional design, and how important it is, which was demonstrated on a small. Madam, just confirm to me my voice is clear, and PPT is showing on your screen. Am I audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very
Yeah.
much audible. No
Okay.
problems.
I have still 30 minutes more, right?
So 15 minutes, 12, 15
Okay.
will be our next session.
Fine. But just let me know just 2 minutes before, so that I can.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah. And okay. So if you have any specific chat box kind of a thing, also I'll cross check if you have any, so that you want to take the questions at the end.
The questions will be asked on the YouTube, which is streaming live right now. And
Okay.
from there, we will be sharing the questions with you, sir.
Okay. Fine. So the next important point which I wish to draw your attention is about the instructional design. It's very important, and there are so many methods, models are available there. I'm not going in details of that. What I've been suggesting to you all, the instructional design approach which is being followed in the our Swayam MOOCs platform, which is a 4-quadrant approach, can be used. And the 4-quadrant approach is demonstrated on your screen. So we can use e-tutorial, we can use the e-content, which is the quadrant number 2. We can use self-assessment, quadrant 4, and a discussion forum and web resources as quadrant 3. So this is very important, which can be able to make use of that. Of course, I have discussed about the ICT initiatives, the resources part as such, which is very important. And there is another interesting thing like a roadmap. And many a times people are often used to ask me that what could be the roadmap where we can start working onto this. So for the roadmap for this blended learning, consisting of again 6 important steps. First and foremost, very important, and where everyone has to understand, set up your mind towards the technology mediated teaching and learning, and not only your mind, and acquire the necessary competencies, and acquire and be a positive way of approaching this kind of a problem. Then only the things will work, because half cooked meal never ever work in this particular area. Second important thing is, we need to make a broad basic decisions in terms of the 5 important aspects. Number 1, the mode of sessions. Number 2, the pedagogy and instructional design. Number 3, assessments, very important. Are we talking about the teacher review? Are we talking about the peer reviewed assessments? Are we talking about the auto graded? And as far as the levels of the assessments are concerned, I think all these things need to be thought of in the beginning itself. Something like what percentage of knowledge level questions could be there, what percentage of application level questions could be there, what percentage of critical thinking questions would be there, what percentage of analytical thinking questions could be there, and how do we ensure the quality of these factors also. And fourth one is define the role of students and the teachers, very important. And when we are implementing this kind of a model, most of the cases, because students are not aware, the parents are not aware, teachers are doing a half khana purti kind of a job, so many things may not be yielding the desired result. So the expectations, what we need to be done. And the fifth one is a very important aspect, like interaction levels and the feedback mechanism. So we want to ensure the multiple interaction levels and multiple feedback mechanism. Feedback means not at the end of the session saying that how it was done. So like this, every after every session or every middle of the session, the students can be asked, and are they first of all aligned with the objectives and expected outcomes, and what they are thinking and how they get, and they believe me friends, they can provide an excellent feedback about this. Now, step 3 is they select the appropriate, you need to take the appropriate synchronous or asynchronous learning platform. And very important thing is try to understand the system first before implementation. So what is happening is many a times, so there are so many methods are available there. Now I could able to last 1 year, I could able to use around 44 or 45 synchronous platforms. And your platform, this StreamYard, whatever our MANUU is doing, and this is my 45th platform. There are so many new things are coming up, and so what is important for us, we need to understand it, and we need to see that how best it could be. And step 4 about will be very clear about the course plan, lesson plan, and of course objectives, expected outcomes, how much percentage, where to search the content, how do we assemble the content, how do we create the content, how do we disseminate the content, wherever permissions are required, how do we take out that, and decide on collaboration with experts. Others, lot of collaboration ICT tools and collaboration tools are I have shown you. I think we can try to use this extent possible. And the last 2 points are very, very important, step 6 and step 7. And of course there are a lot of issues, challenges, nothing is a red carpet thing, never ever be like this. So we need to support to each other, explore other things, and what is important for me is review, fine tune, and move ahead. And always let's start this one with a positive note. Always try to remember what the great man of this great nation, APJ Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, often used to say 3 golden words. uh, First one is fail. He said fail is a first attempt in learning. And END, always we say end, but it is effort never dies. No is next opportunity. So if we want to, because what happened, this is a technology mediated processes. So technology mediated processes cannot happen automatically. Many a times we expect that miracles do happen while pressing the enter button. It never happened that way. Okay, so a lot of things we need to learn, relearn, and unlearn. Then only we can reach. And the one more important competency faculty must be understanding about this ecosystem. And of course this is pertains to the designing part, development part, delivery part, course transaction, assessment part, and of course preparing the good quality assessments, preparing the good quality discussion forum, and the not last but not the least, the learner engagement, encouragement, and of course the motivational part of it. And there is interesting document which has been provided, which I have been using for quite some time. I'll just make a small reference of this document, which is An American college has done this document, which I've been using more than 10 to 12 years. This is basically about the online course best practices checklist. I think all these things will strengthen the teacher to create a wonderful blended learning environment, both online as well as the so there is something about it basically is having 6 sections. Something is about section 1 is talking about the course information. Section 2 is talking about the course design and organization. Section 3 is talking about the aesthetic design of your course. Section 4 is talking about the interaction and the collaboration. Section 5 is talking about the effective use of technology. And the last section, section 6, is talking about the assessment and evaluation. There are certain checklist items have been given over there, and these checklist items are having, there are three important people are there: teacher, a user with the role of a teacher, a user with role of a student, and the content. So what is important is how the students are connected with the teacher, how the students can learn from the content, how the students are connected with the fellow students. That's how it has been managed, and the document which has been prepared 10 12 years back still has a lot of relevance as far as this is concerned as such. Okay. And of course, the open educational resources, this is very important point as such. Okay, I just want to make a small reference about this open uh, no, no. And a small reference about this open educational 1 minute. A very important about we all knows that what is this OER and what is the purpose of the OER. I just want to spend some 2 quick minutes into this. We all know that open educational resources are materials offered freely and openly to use and adapt for teaching, learning, and development and research. Fine. We also know about there are full courses, course modules to the and digital material simulations and many more resources contained in digital media collections around the world. But what is interesting and important to me, not all these things. What is important to me that I think I request all the faculty members to just have a look into this 5 important points. The first point in this one is these questions are applicable not only for the OER, applies for the other general material also. What it says, the first point is whenever we get the material, first of all, we'll see that what the students be able to learn from this resource. That is very important point. The second point is what is our reaction to this resource, and how might you use the resource, and what are the issues you can foresee, because what happens, some resources are too high standard, too low standard, and some are mostly focusing on knowledge level, but we need something for the application level of understanding. Whenever we teach any topic, we pitch in three levels. One is basics first. Once the basics are understood, when we go for the advanced level, when basics and advanced level is clear, then we'll go for the application level. And so my another very important question in this regard, I think I want every one of you during this webinar need to be thought of. What advantages for using this particular resource as opposed to creating your own material? Whenever you come across any such material, so I wish to know that why are you creating? If something is already available, some better quality is already available, so yes, we may create a small bridge over there. I think this is one of the important aspect. I wish every one of us need to introspect on this as far as the OERs are concerned. And there's some more extra competencies, very important competencies. One is about hands-on exposure on managing the cloud storage. Yes, of course, we have Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox. So we should have a hands-on exposure, and which should be used on a date. And for last almost more than 12 to 13 years or 14 years, I stopped using my C drive, D drive, E drive, F drive. Almost all my data is in important data. I use all three things. Google Drive, my university has given. OneDrive, I subscribe. Dropbox, I subscribed, because all my videos, all my research, everything is available over there. And of course, it's synced on my laptop also. And so, like simple things like folder creation, file uploading, collaborative working, content dissemination, safety and security of the data, device independence. And of course, then about exposure on YouTube. First of all, there are two types of people are using YouTube. One, content producers. Second, content consumers. For as far as the content consumers are concerned, how do we filter out the data? How do we use only reusable content to be used, not the YouTube standard license? Other blah 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 things are there. As far as the content developers are concerned, if you want to disseminate your video, whatever you want to say that, so we need to understand the six important aspects, like what is the privacy option can be selected, how do we give the proper keywords, what about the licensing, which license need to be adopted, what category where our video need to be flagged in, and are we going to embedding the video, are we going to allow the comments to be placed. Of course, this one I said. The last just 1 minute, I'm just going to flag around 10 important best practices using the technology to enhance the teaching and learning. Of course, it is meant for the institutional policy, but my request to all of you is please replace the institutional policy with individual policy. So first one is prepare an individual policy of technology for teaching learning. Maybe governments may be saying, our state government or central government or your higher education councils or the university. But what is important to me that we start, since you got exposed to this kind of workshops, start doing yourself and start having a plan. How do we go about it? Develop an individual website. And of course, there is something like, prepare an online teaching learning manual, and, plan something for the e-assessments. Of course, create a collaborative learning environment and promote an online learning and learning community. This is very, very important. It cannot happen automatically. I think that's all, friends. I'm going to say, and fine. I think I stick to my timing, madam.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
very much, sir.
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful presentation. But
If you have any questions, yeah, the questions will be coming. जनाब,
अब मैं हमारे सामीन से, हमारे जो पार्टिसिपेंट्स हैं, शुरका हैं, उनका अगर सर के लेक्चर पर कोई सवाल हो इस गुफ्तगू पर, तो वो कर सकते हैं। आप चैट बॉक्स में डाल दीजिए। कुछ सवालात हमारे पास आ गए हैं, हम उसको भी शुरू करेंगे, तो आप चैट बॉक्स में भी डालते हैं। Sir, one question has come to me that what are the necessary competence elementary school teacher should have for online teaching?
So of course there are many. First of all, first one is the hardware competencies. First of all, whatever the hardware which we are using, whether it is a laptop or a desktop or a smartphone, webcam and microphone, that is one part of it. So we should have a thorough understanding about this. The second thing is the enabling environment. When you are teaching online, so there is a software, whether it is a Zoom, whether it is a Google Meet or any software, we should have. The third important factor is about the resources. And first of all, again, if you allow me to say, pedagogy was preceded by the technology. So first and foremost thing, we should be clear about what is the pedagogical application, what is the pedagogy's method which are going to be used. Not like simply I'm using a lecture method which cannot be. So you need to create an environment and deliver the lecture and try to facilitate extended hand-holding after the classroom, which is having a very good impact on this. I think these are the things which need to be earned during course of time. If you look at the sometimes what happens, जब हम कोई क्लास पढ़ाते हैं, छोटे बच्चे सामने बैठाता है, तो आप जैसे जूम ले लीजिएगा और कई सारे सॉफ्टवेयर्स में उसमें व्हाइट बोर्ड अवेलेबल है, तो एक्स्ट्रा गैजेट्स आजकल तो राइटिंग पैड्स अवेलेबल भी, ताकि उसमें लिखने से काफी अच्छा बच्चों के ऊपर असर पड़ता है। बट ये सारे चीज करने के लिए मैं एक छोटी सी बात बता रहा हूँ। आप पहले 5-5 मिनट का छोटे छोटे वीडियो आप खुद बना लीजिए, बना के स्टूडेंट्स तक पहले पहुंचा दीजिए, और माँ बाप को पहले कह दीजिएगा आप अपने बच्चों से ये चेक करवा के मेरे क्लास में भेजे। सिंपली हैविंग ए लेक्चर मेथड एंड बाद में only lecture method may not be solving any one of our issues.
थैंक यू
So
सर।
this is one of the answers. Yeah.
सर एक और बड़ा दिलचस्प सवाल आया है, वो पूछा है हमारे एक ऑडियंस ने कि स्टूडेंट की पर्सनालिटी जो होती है उसके बहुत सारे एस्पेक्ट्स होते हैं, एंड सम एस्पेक्ट्स हैव टू बी ऑब्जर्व्ड बाय द टीचर, सो हाउ इट इज पॉसिबल इन ऑनलाइन टीचिंग टू ऑब्जर्व द अदर एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स?
वो बहुत बहुत अहम सवाल है। मैं एक बात कह देता हूँ कि मैं जब बात कर रहा हूँ ना, मैं कैमरा को देख के बोल रहा हूँ, मैं कैमरा को देख के बोल रहा हूँ, और बोलने से मतलब मेरा जो पूरा सिस्टम है, और मैं जो भाषा बोल रहा हूँ, जिस कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ बोल रहा हूँ, उससे 2 मिनट में नाप सकते हैं। So my point in this case is everything cannot be managed, because I think this is what the mindset of the people. We have to change the mindset. When we are moving from the conventional classroom teaching to this blended mode of a teaching, what is important is, yes, some of the aspects we cannot do straight away. Even अपने classroom में भी जो भी चीज हो रहा है वहां यहाँ भी नहीं हो पा रहा है। But मैं आपसे ये कहता हूँ कि I think this is still going to evolve. नेशनल एजुकेशनल टेक्नोलॉजी फोरम, एक हमारे नया शिक्षा नीति में एक वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कंपोनेंट इज देयर व्हिच इज वर्किंग ऑन मेनी ऑफ दिस एस्पेक्ट्स। बट आई कैन टेल यू वन थिंग, कल किसी वर्कशॉप में मैं आपसे यहाँ नहीं कहलवाया, बट मेरे वर्कशॉपों में मैं पार्टिसिपेंट से मेरा पावर पॉइंट रीड करवाता हूँ, और मैंने आपको पहले ही कहा था मैं 4 क्वाड्रेंट अप्रोच यूज करता हूँ। लेक्चर भी है मेरे क्लास में, डिस्कशन भी है, डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन भी है, हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस भी है। कई बार लोग कहते हैं सर हैंड्स ऑन प्रैक्टिस कैसे रहता है? मैं तो आपने जो भी मैंने कुछ टास्क दिया, मैं आपको 15 मिनट का समय देता हूँ, मतलब ये 1.5 घंटे तो मैं बहुत कम वर्कशॉपों में आता हूँ, क्योंकि 1.5 घंटे में तो ठीक है कुछ आइडियाज कैन बी फ्लैग, बट 1.5 घंटे में कुछ होता कम है। बट जनरली मैं 3 दिन का वर्कशॉप, 4 दिन के वर्कशॉप, अभी यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ हैदराबाद, उसमें मैं क्या करता हूं, आपको 15 मिनट का समय देने के बाद मैं आपका स्क्रीन शेयर करवाता हूं, मैं कहता हूं करो, बताओ, एंड यू हैव टू पोस्ट इट इन द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप। सो इफ यू मेक द थिंग्स सीरियस, डेफिनेटली थिंग्स कैन हैपन।
Okay.
What I'm trying to say that it all depends on how teacher is creative and innovative. So the things can happen. ICT is an enabler.
So last question, sir. We have time constraints. So last question: how could a teacher make learning student centered while using synchronous platform of learning?
See, देखिए, only synchronous platform से learning center नहीं हो सकता है. Provided that platform, like for example Microsoft Teams built up a learning management system along with the synchronous platform, so that the blending can be done. अभी मैं ये नहीं कह सकता Zoom was only meant for the delivery platform. So if they have a synchronous platform where teacher can provide the reading material as per the lesson plan, as per the objectives, and then ensure the activities and collaborative learning, things can happen. But my personal opinion and my practical real-time experience says better don't mix up these two things. Let's have your asynchronous mode separately. Let's have a synchronous mode separately. Tomorrow synchronous can be replaced by face-to-face classroom. But even in my classrooms also, sir, I must want to tell to you, and even my learned gathering also, without preparation, without engaging the students, we are not going to achieve anything. Because the papers which I am teaching are having both theoretical and practical in nature. So practical में क्या होता है, 10 बार दिखाओ, 100 बार पढ़ाओ, कुछ नहीं होता. First and foremost thing मैं कहता हूँ, भाई ये वीडियो पढ़ो, ये वीडियो देखो, and सवाल पूछो कम से कम 3-4 दिन पहले. So that if you can prepare the students to come, because हमारे सिस्टम में ये इस टाइप की सिस्टम नहीं है. हमने जो ऑनलाइन को कैसे अपनाया, स्ट्राइट अवे क्लासेस बंद है, जूम में आ गए, क्लासेस बंद है, स्ट्रीम यार्ड में आ गए. but it still it needs to evolve, and a lot of work is going on.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. I once again thank you for your enlightening talk, a very thought-provocative lecture, and rather I should say pragmatic lecture. क्योंकि सर हमारे यहाँ बहुत सारे मेरे बीएड के, एमएड के और फैकल्टी मेंबर्स जुड़े हुए हैं, तो उनके बहुत सारे जो डाउट्स थे या उनकी जो परेशानियां थी, जाहिर है आपने तो काफी कुछ कवर कर लिया है, तो उनके लिए एक बहुत ही प्रैक्टिकल लेक्चर रहा आपका ये, एंड इट वाज मोटिवेटिंग टू. और मैं समझता हूँ कि हमारे वो बीएड एमएड के स्टूडेंट्स जो मुस्तकबिल में बहुत जल्दी जो है टीचर बनने वाले हैं, उनके लिए तो ये बहुत ही एक माइलस्टोन साबित होगा. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू say that change is the law of nature and who adopts the change will only survive. ये शायद आपके लेक्चर से मैंने जो सीखा कि ये चेंज हमको अडॉप्ट करना होगा, अदरवाइज वी विल बी नो मोर. So once again I thank you, sir, from my heart of the heart, on personally and on behalf of MANUU City and MANUU also. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Now
Thank
it's
you very
over
much.
to thank you, sir. Now it's over to Uzma ma'am for the next session.
Thank you very much. I'm leaving now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, brother, sir. I'll start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Vice Chancellor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor S.M. Rahmatullah, sir. Respected Registrar and Dean, School of Education, Dr. Siddiqui Mahmood, sir. Respected Convener and Principal, MANUU College of Teacher Education, Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh. Distinguished resource persons, Professor K. Srinivas, sir, and Professor Indrani Bhaturi, ma'am. Organizing Secretary, Dr. Badrul Islam, sir. Webinar Coordinator, Dr. Shaheen Parveen, ma'am. Program Host, Mrs. Sayyeda Hajra, ma'am. Supporting Staff, Ms. Rana Saeed, ma'am, and Ms. Maisara Khan, ma'am. All the participants and viewers, Assalamu alaikum. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you. As you all know, we have with us today a very eminent scholar as a resource person, Professor Indrani Bhaturi, ma'am. I would like to take few minutes to introduce our esteemed resource person. Professor Indrani Bhaturi is serving in National Council of Educational Research and Training as Head, National Achievement Survey Cell. She joined NCRT in June 2002. She has a doctorate in education from Pune University and has master's degree in chemistry, physical from Delhi University. She has also a master's in education with specialization in educational statistics and experimental psychology from Pune University. Her area of specialization is educational assessment and psychometrics, test designing and analysis, and reporting of large-scale achievement survey and school-based assessment to improve the learning outcomes. She has been working in the area of educational assessment and its allied disciplines for the last 27 years. Dr. Bhaturi has presented papers in national and international seminars as well as conferences. She has worked as a resource person in workshops and training programs and delivered lectures in different universities and institutes. She has also supervised and guided PhD and MH students successfully for their dissertations. Professor Bhaturi has been trained in national assessment test designs and psychometric methods conducted by Educational Testing Service, Princeton, USA, and in large-scale educational survey, analysis and reporting conducted by ACER, Melbourne, Australia. Presently, ma'am is working for Ministry of Education Finance National Achievement Surveys conducted for classes 3rd, 5th, 8th and 10th under the aegis of Samagra Shiksha. She is a member of National Resource Group and also a member of NISHTHA, that is the National Initiative for School Heads and Teachers Holistic Assessment Program for in-service teachers and school heads at elementary, launched by Ministry of Education, Government of India. She is also in the steering committee of the Ministry of Education in Diksha, that is the Digital Infrastructure for Knowledge Sharing, PISA, that is the Program for International Student Assessment, Foundational Learning, and NAS, that is the National Achievement Survey. It is indeed an honor and privilege for us, ma'am, to have you with us today. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the introduction, and it's really a pleasure to be here. A very good afternoon to everybody. Before commencing, I must thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to interact with this bright young audience. I truly believe that these academic activities are always a two-way street where as resources, we bring our experiences, and as participants, you all contribute your perspectives. So let's endeavor for this session to be an opportunity to exchange our respective fears. So I'll share my screen right now. As I embark on my presentation, I want to make it clear, how I understand revolution and evolution. Fundamentally, revolution takes place over a period of time where the changes are so subtle that they are difficult to understand. But a revolution, on the other hand, are sudden events, and they bring about radical changes. The agrarian society of the Homo sapiens existed in comfort for tens of millennia. It is during the end of the Middle Ages that revolution happened in Europe, followed by advents of machines. We call this as the first revolution, which occurred somewhere around mid 18th century, approximately 1765. The next 100 years, machines were powered by animals, and that is why we have, the concept of horsepower. In mid 19th century, 1860s, energy from non-animal sources came into fore in the form of steam, coal, oil, and gas. The third revolution was mid 20th century, around 1960s, with the advent of electronics, telecommunications, and computers were also in place. And now we are in the mid of the fourth revolution, which is happening from the beginning of the 21st century, where the currency is information and the byproducts in form of artificial intelligence, machine learning, Internet of Things, robotics, 3D printing, etc. The internet age started in the 1980s, and with the subsequent evolution that led to the fourth revolution. But what must be understood is that the technology by itself is not self-propagating. Technology has to function in the context of a social setting. In other words, it generates from the necessities of the society, and thus it is a social invention. And every technology has to have values associated with it. It cannot be simply for profit and impact. So technology choices are value laden, and it must have environmental sustainability, it must have positive impact on the society, it should be culturally fair, and most importantly, it should be ethically robust. So how has this e-evolution and e-revolution impacted us as teachers? First, careers in the past followed a linear pattern, but in future, the world will undergo such rapid changes that this linearity will cease to exist. Let me elaborate. A teacher, for example, today cannot prepare the students for any particular job because future jobs will emerge which does not exist as of now. Also, the technologies will change so rapidly that the students of today will have to deal with technology which are yet to be invented. So as teachers, we need to make the learners resilient, empower the learners with ability to withstand changes and bounce back. So the four revolutions now in the field of education, that we term as the education revolution 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and the 4.0. So, education 1.0, the revolution revolution in education 1.0 can be, this is the first phase. Now that we have finished our school education, let us reflect, on what we learned in school and what we wished we had learned. In education 1.0, it was teacher-centric. We as teacher educators, teachers, and pupil teachers, we have all come across the word tabula rasa. That was the paradigm with which we were working in education 1.0. Assessment was primarily based on recall, and technology was not allowed in the classroom. If you recall, when we were children, we were not allowed to use even calculators in the classroom. So then the next revolution, that is education 2.0, the next generation of education emphasized on communication and collaboration. The teachers were trained into the art of listening and observing. The verbal and the non-verbal feedback from the students during the classroom interaction became important. For example, initially, even I as a student, I've experienced this. The teacher would throw a chalk at me if I'm not paying attention. But now the teachers are trained to reflect on the student's attention drift. Why he or she is not paying attention? That is my concern now. So this is the shift from one education 1.2 to education 2.2. Similarly, assessment was focused one-time examination at the end of an academic year, and this happened for all the grades starting from 1 to 12. And basically, for assessment, what we were doing is we were categorizing the students above 60%, below 60%, above 80%, and this was just based on an average score obtained by the student in a paper pencil test. So this is education 2.0. Now, the next is education 3.0, that is the third generation. Education 3.0 is student-centric. That is, in this, the student becomes an important stakeholder and the teacher becomes a co-passenger in the journey of education. So the teacher is also a learner. So when the student becomes a partner in the enterprise, a partner in the learning process, then the idea of the self-discovery of their innate abilities and further developing them into competencies becomes a part and parcel of the education. Concepts like peer assessment, self-assessment, and what recently we come across is that 360-degree holistic assessment becomes a norm. Students prepare at home before a topic is discussed in the class so that the practical aspects of the learning outcome can be emphasized. Technology is encouraged. Foundational stage of learning is as important, if not more, than the school leaving stage, because it is the foundation of the edifice which will allow the development of the skyscrapers. Education 4.0, that is the fourth generation education. This is the education of tomorrow, which is just knocking at the door. Learning will not be just in schools. Co-creation, co-collaboration, and innovation not only develops the content knowledge, but helps in advancement of the most important, the transversal competencies, which are very crucial for making the student future ready. So assessment is not just a paper and pencil exercise or completion of one project or task. It's putting the students in multifarious challenging situation and checking the performance, how his competencies are being developed. Learning plans are individualized to document this learning journey of the child, and technology has a free access. We talk about virtual reality, the artificial intelligence, and most importantly, ethics plays an important role in the choice and use of technology in learning. So, to me, the e-learning is not just about electronics, but it is about being efficient, effective, engaging, enterprising, evolving, and all-encompassing, being inclusive in nature, energizing, and most importantly, being ethical. So we see that when we are talking about e-evolution and e-revolution in education, it is about involvement of community in the process of learning is going to be very important, because teaching a student is an investment for the community, and therefore the community becomes a stakeholder. A competent student today is a positive contributor to the community tomorrow. So, commitment towards developing evidence-based, student-centered learning communities, use AI to develop learning materials to foster personalized learning and skill development, encourage development of assessment as learning frameworks. I'm sure, like as be it pupil teachers, you have come across this term, assessment as learning. Greater accessibility through dialogues, continued and enhanced engagement with national and international organizations, build and engage a community of practice. Now that we know what is to be done, the next step is, how do I make it sustainable? So not only we have to design and develop, but it has to percolate to all the stakeholders, be it the parent, the teachers, the students, the administrators, the policymakers, and the community elders. When we are in the flux from education, when we are in this flux from education 3.0 to 4.0, it is for us to ensure that this concept is promoted. And how do we promote this concept? By making each and everybody involved in the process acquainted with this change. So this involvement with the change starts right from the school peon to or the gatekeeper of the school to the head of the institution. So, a fragmented approach will not work. Everybody needs to vibrate with the same frequency. We need to be in the same page. We need to be in the same platform for all of us to advise, collaborate, and support. The hubs of learning needs to be developed in line with the large area networking till we are able to, develop centers of excellence all around. We need to keep in mind that all of this is about the journey and not just the destination. NEP 2020 recognizes the importance of e-education. It talks about leveraging the advantages of technology while acknowledging potential risk and danger. Carefully designed and appropriately scaled pilot studies to determine the benefits of digital online education, optimizing and expanding their existing digital platforms and ongoing ICT-based educational initiatives to meet the current needs and future challenges, using technology for online and digital education adequately to address concerns of equity. A rich variety of educational softwares for all above purposes will be developed and made available for students and teachers at all levels. All such software will be available in all major Indian languages and will be accessible to a wide range of users, including students in remote areas and Divyang students. Teaching learning e-content will continue to be developed by all states in all regional languages as well as by the NCRT, CIET, CPSC, NIOS, and other bodies and institutions. Having deliberated on the expected systemic changes, let us see how now the teachers need to change to ensure sustainability. We have discussed that information is no more the fare now that we are dealing with. In fact, there is an information overload or a glut. And the student needs to be supported to, understand how to sift through this or through all this information. So the sift in the information from essential, from necessary, necessary from useful, useful from that word disposal. In other words, we need to prioritize. There are two aspects of prioritization. One is the corporal aspect, and the other is the temporal aspect. And both these aspects needs to be kept in mind. Now, when we are musing on the changes that needs to be brought, we need to see that the position and the status of the ustad or the guru that remains the same. And for this position of the guru and the ustad to remain same, we as gurus or ustad, we need to change with time. And this can happen when we learn, when we need to keep the child in us alive by being eager to learn. I think no lecture is complete without the mention of the pandemic, and the world that we know has changed since the beginning of the last year, and every dark cloud has a silver lining. Education disruption has taken place. School closures has led to 800 million students affected worldwide. Mitigation of this negative impact by remote learning and alternate academic calendars, but still vulnerable and at-risk learners, particularly those from economically challenged background, have suffered a huge negative impact. And this has resulted in the widening of the chasm in the quality of learning. On one side, we have children with all facilities at home, supported by parents, and on the other, the child belonging to a migrant laborer and parental job loss, etc. However, all these have also helped us to rethink and provide opportunities for all. And various initiatives have been taken in India, and I would request the audience that all of you should go through these different initiatives and try to promote them and make them accessible to everybody as far as possible. So we have the Diksha, the e-Vidya, the NROER, the SWAYAM platform, and the e-Pashala. I start with the e-Pashala. These are the digital textbooks for all classes, and students, teachers, educators, parents can access these e-books through multiple technology platform. They have an app also which can be downloaded. We have the NROER, that is the National Repository of Open Educational Resources, which has resources for all school subjects and grades and in multiple languages. Then we have Diksha. This is for the teachers primarily, and Diksha uses the Web 2.0 technology, wherein the end user helps in the content development and its validation. We have the SWAYAM platform, the study webs of active learning for young active minds, which is the India's national MOOC platform. There are various courses taught from 9th standard to post-graduation. And we have the e-Vidya, which is one platform for all, which has the radios, the community radios, the podcast, everything is kept at one place. So NEP 2020. So we saw that how evolution and revolution has impacted learning. But learning is a transaction, and transaction is not complete till we have established that it has led to a change. And this change in learning can be evidenced through assessment. So assessment has also got to evolve and be revolutionized. So NEP 2020 talks a lot about how we can transform assessment, and these are the things I think all of you must have seen and have discussed this NEP 2020. When we are talking about the assessing the learners, we can broadly categorize these assessment into three major areas. One is the large-scale assessment, then we have the high-stake assessment, and the third is the school-based assessment. In the large-scale assessment, we are not bothered about we are not doing the assessment to understand the individual child, but we are doing the assessment to understand the system. How are the systems working? The system may be at the school level, the system may be at the district level, it may be at the state level, or at the national level or international level. In India, the large-scale assessment that we carry out is the National Achievement Survey, and some of the international large-scale assessment that is being carried out are the PISA. You must have heard about TIMSS and the PEARLS, we have the high stake, that is the board exam. assessment. And finally, the school-based assessment is what the teachers are assessing in the classroom to understand whether the transaction in the classroom has been fruitful or not. So, when we are talking about school-based assessment, it is all about the individual child. So we talk about the 360-degree holistic progress cards, and when we are assessing the child, we are not just limiting, as teachers, we are not limiting to the paper pencil test, but we are using a plethora of assessment strategies that is at our disposal. And as pupil teachers, you must have come across all these strategies that we use. Technology is very important in SB, and we have something called the evidence-centered assessment design. This is, I'm not going into the detail of this at all, because this is a lecture by itself. So, this evidence-centered assessment design is the use of how we can use technology in improving the school-based assessment done by the teachers. NEP 2020 talks about the examination and how we need to transform the examinations, and how technology also can, improve the examinations that are being conducted at present. And like I said, that we have the National Achievement Survey, and these are the large-scale achievement surveys which are being done to understand the system-level performance, that is how the system is performing, at whether the school as a system is performing well, the districts. So the most recent National Achievement Survey conducted was in 2017, wherein we had assessed all the districts in India, and the district report cards were prepared, and these for each district, 10 district report cards were prepared. We did the assessment for grade 3, 5, 8, and 10. And for grade 3, we prepared 3 district report cards. For grade 5, 3 again, 8, we prepared 4 report cards. So all these district reports, so we had 10 report cards at the elementary level for each district, which talked about the performance of the students in the different learning outcomes, and which districts are not performing well, what are the gaps that were identified, and how interventions can be developed based on the gaps identified. So lot of technology, initially when we used to conduct this National Achievement Survey, that is we had started conducting this achievement survey in 2001. At that time, we used to do the achievement survey in 2001 and come out with a report after 3-4 years. So by that time, it had lost its relevance altogether. Now, when we did in 2017, we conducted the achievement survey in November 2017, and we were out with the district report cards in, January 2018. So within a month, within 3 months' time, we were able to do this, and this is all because of the use of technology in this conducting the large-scale achievement survey. So the technology helps in produce better quality items, and we use sophisticated statistics. All of you must be aware of the statistic, that is the CTT, that is the classical test theory. But in conducting these large-scale achievement survey, we use the IRT, that is the item response theory, that is a different sort of statistics altogether. And in this, we use different softwares, that is the iTab, Bylog, test graphs, and the LearnTab, which gives a lot of information about how the different items that were been used in understanding the learning levels of the child, how the items have functioned, whether the items have. So if you can see the first graph, as I'm presenting the to my left. So it has 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of different colors. So it talks about how if I have a MCQ, so how my different the distractors, the different options in my MCQ has performed. Then we have the item person graph on my right hand side, and below the two graphs shows whether there has been a differential performance. Differential performance means that whether the item which we have administered, they have been culturally fair. So it has not performed differently for for the different genders, or it has not performed differently for the students coming from different location background, like rural and urban. So technology is useful in to help us understand how all this is being done. So, and another way in which we use technology in the large scale achievement survey is, we cannot burden the child with too many measurement points. So we use something called the matrix sampling design, wherein one booklet is administered to one child with some items, and the other child gets another booklet, the third child gets another booklet, and we equate all these booklets through this matrix sampling. In the sampling design also, we use a lot of technology, and also in the data analysis procedure in conducting the large scale achievement survey. And all this report, I would also request all of you to go through these reports. These are very useful, and especially for the MEd and PhD students. If you want to take up research in this large scale assessment, you want to take up case studies, it will be really helpful to you. So all these are available in the public domain. I have mentioned the location. Please go through these reports and take up the different researches, and you can get in touch with me also if you want require any further help. So and yes, with this I come to the end of my presentation. And in this country of 1.3 billion and growing, the population amongst the student community is mammoth, resulting in all efforts directed towards quantity education rather than quality. And NEP 2020 is an honest attempt to introduce this quality aspect in learning and assessment. And if I would like one message to go through, it is that quality is never an accident. It is a product of very careful planning, meticulous execution, review and relook for future improvement. And so I leave you with, can we now imagine Education 5.0 beyond the horizon? Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It has been a very enriching experience for all of us. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. Some students wanted to ask questions. I would request Hajra madam to please present the questions to ma'am.
Okay, questions. I have one question that at present times online examination quantitative ज़्यादा हो रहे हैं जिसकी वजह से evaluation measurement बन गया है. Assessment के तरीके में क्या changes होना चाहिए? This is the one of the question asked by the participant.
Thank you so much for the thank you so much for the question. Yes, of course. We are when we at present the stress, like I explained, education 1.0, education 2.0, education 3.0, and I said that we are in education 3.0 and moving on to education 4.0. It is I think assessment is the crux, and this has been stressed in all the commissions and committees, right from the Kothari Commission or even before that the University Grant Commission. And assessment, it is not about comparing one child with the other. It is not about giving a child the scores based on his or her performance in a paper pencil test. It is about to what extent I have been able to develop as a child. I have been able to develop my competencies. So the competencies have been, they have been framed. What are the competencies that needs to be realized for each grade? That is there in the learning outcomes that has been documented. So in assessment we need to emphasize whether these competencies have been achieved or not by me as a child.
Okay, we have one more question, ma'am. One of the participant asked that as you talk about 1.0, then 2.0, 3, 4, and 5.0, you live with the 5.0. Then what will be the expected changes in technology in future as well as 5.0 is concerned?
Yeah, so that's what I said, that education 1.2 we have talked about, how it is teacher centered, and then education 2.2, how the teacher also starts taking into perspective the child's perspective. Okay, then we move to 3.0, where the child himself or herself becomes a contributor. Assessment as learning. It is not only that as a teacher I'm assessing the child, but then I develop the assessment along with the child. The child has a say in the assessment pattern. And then we move to 4.0, and finally 5.0. That's what it is. Education 5.0 is it's something like Kshitij ke us par. It is I have just left it with a query that that's what the thing is, that I do not know what lies beyond. Can we visualize it? We need to what that is why we don't want to equip the child with the content knowledge, but we need, as teachers, we need to equip the child being resilient to change, so that when the child is in education 5.0, he or she will not have the difficulty when the technology comes in that time. Because I may not be able to equip him with, or maybe I will not be able to make him aware of what technology will be during that time. But I can equip him or her with the competencies that he or she can adapt to the changes then. But yes, again, I also talk about, I am somehow not, able to accept the adaptation to the change. Adaptation means the environment changes, and we as human beings, we change ourselves to change to kind of adjust to the environment. No, rather I would say that the change should begin with me. I should bring out the change rather than adapting to the change. Thank you.
Okay, Thank you, ma'am. We have one more question. As you discuss about the assessment, the next question is in that regard. Or assessment of teacher by student, how much is important for the quantitative improvement in education?
Very important, very important. And this term 360-degree assessment that is there in NEP 2020 that we are talking about for the child, it has actually come from the industry, wherein people in the industry, they get assessed on a 360-degree assessment. That is, they get their assessment feedback from all those people, from not only from their bosses but their colleagues and from their subordinates also. So this 360-degree assessment should be applicable not only for the student but to the teachers as well, if we want the system to improve.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. The question answer session is come to an end. Thank you so much, ma'am. Your session was very comprehensive, full of knowledge and fruitful, and definitely productive for all of us. Now I request Mrs. Siddiqui Uzma, Assistant Professor, MANUU CT Aurangabad, to please present a vote of thanks. Over to Uzma, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Indrani Bahaduri, ma'am, very hearty thankful again to you. Ma'am, you started with the difference between revolution and evolution. And then again with the first generation, second generation, third and the fourth generation of technological education. Then sustainability of e-education. And then you also suggested that to be a part of this, the school peon to the head of the institute, everyone has to be involved in this. And the National Policy on Education 2020 has recognized the importance of e-education, and it has been an accessibility to all the users in all the regional languages. Ma'am, NCRT initiative, National Achievement Survey Cell, you said that it has been possible only because of technology. The achievements report which you said, anyone can get access to it because it is available in the public domain. Thank you so much, ma'am. And you have empowered the learners and also provided them a platform to go through this and possess a knowledge which they can enhance further. Ma'am, I, on behalf of MANUU College of Teacher Education, Aurangabad, extend my hearty vote of thanks to you and for enriching us with your knowledge and your charm. Thank you so much, ma'am. We are grateful to Honorable Vice Chancellor, Maulana Azad National Urdu University, Professor S.M. Rahmatullah, sir, who presided over the webinar. Thank you, sir. We are also thankful to the Registrar and Dean, School of Education, Professor Siddiqui Mahmood, sir, as our guest. Thank you, sir. We are deeply honored by your presence. We would also like to acknowledge our gratitude to the IMC team for the technical support. Thank you, Rizwan Ahmed, sir, and Umar Azmi, sir. I may like to express my sincere thanks to the organizing team of the webinar headed by our principal, MANUU CT Aurangabad, Dr. Shaheen Altaf Sheikh. Thank you, ma'am, and your team. And last but not the least, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to all the participants and viewers who have been with us throughout this session. Thank you so much, all of you. Over to you, Hajra ma'am. Thank you.
With us, our next session of presentation of paper will be start at 3 p.m. See you there.
Hajra ma'am, can you repeat yourself because the previous part was not heard? Your mic
Yes,
was muted. Can you repeat?
Can I repeat my statements?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Siddiqui Uzma ma'am, for giving vote of thanks in such an effective manner. So here we are come to an end, the second session of a resource person. We hope that the presentation of the resource person has enriched your knowledge and information. So the resource person session has come to an end. We will meet in the second session at 3 p.m. Thank you so much for being with us. We will meet at 3 p.m. Till then, goodbye from MANUU CT Aurangabad team. Thank you so much.
Can you please